Welcome to the State of the Union here on Blaze TV. It's the State of the Union roast. We are talking about our, maybe our worst president, hopefully giving his last State of the Union that he will ever give. And this will be incredible to watch. And we know it's going to be a disaster, and we're here to document every little last bit of it. Later in the show, we will read and answer your Blaze chats live on the air. So be sure to send your questions and comments during the State of the Union speech to us during, right on the Blaze chat. You can just do it right there. We're monitoring every one of your actions. We have the deep state is watching you as you ask your questions. We're going to go over to Glenn Beck, who is at home, I guess. Didn't have enough energy to get out here. Obviously, just like Joe Biden, doesn't really get out that much anymore.
It's taking everything I have just to watch this damn thing. So don't press your luck. It is. I'm very excited. It's my understanding he's had at least 3 or 4 banana bags today. He's been on the IV all day. Dr. Nick is in the car with him, so he'll be juiced up and ready to go. I was bothered today by the fence that they put back up, the 8 or 12-foot fence that, of course, for January 6 people. But it turns out, no, it's the lefties that they're afraid of tonight. And it'll be interesting to see what he says. Now, you're president of the United States. You're going to the Capitol. You have the Capitol Police. You have the D.C. Police. You have the Army, Navy, Coast Guard. You have everything you need, including tunnels that go from the White House all the way to the Capitol. And they're stuck in traffic because there's a problem. I mean, if this is the way you plan things, maybe you shouldn't be president of the United States. You have a few ways to get to the Capitol to be on time.
Yeah, I think there are multiple streets that lead to that area in Washington, D.C.
Yeah,
at least that's my understanding.
Yeah, in fact, I think all the streets lead to the Capitol.
Yeah, that's kind of how the city works.
Yeah.
And obviously they're planning this as well as they plan everything else, the economy, Afghanistan, all the other examples. When you have Joe Biden, who's going to try to get through this speech at 80 years old, Glenn, you're a man who knows a little bit about substances that you put in your body. What cocktail would you be providing to Joe Biden to get him through this speech tonight?
Do I have all of the drugs at my choice? Anything that is coming over the border?
I think you're over the border. You've got over-the-counter prescriptions, liquid shots, whatever you want.
I would have started about 3 o'clock with some just over-the-counter Adderall, and then in the car, just lines of cocaine, and I think he'll make it.
All right.
Now, if he does this, a lot like his gums are numb. Okay. You'll know.
Well, no. You'll know. That's how we know. Okay. Looking for the gums. It's going to be the number one thing I'm looking for in this speech. Glenn, thanks so much. We're going to be checking in back in with you here to get your reaction after the speech. Thanks so much for checking in, and try to stay awake.
Thank you for making me watch this.
If you can.
Thank you.
All right. As we gear up for another presidential election this November, do you really think you can trust the mainstream media and big tech platforms to deliver the truth? I don't. Does anyone else? Throughout this election season, Blaze TV will be giving you the exclusive content and coverage you need with cutting-edge newsmakers, leaders, and commentators to give you a complete picture of what is happening during the election season and in America at large. This is the network that you have been building for many years if you're a subscriber, and thank you so much for making everything possible. If you aren't a subscriber, well, please consider it. This year will be decided based on what Americans are being told, and of course, those narratives that will be pushed harder than ever from the mainstream media are going to be there. At Blaze Media, we want to make sure we're pushing back on those. We want to make sure to tell you what they don't want you to hear, and we will cover the stories and the topics they work hard to suppress. We shed light on the real story behind the lies from Biden's White House, and we would love you to join us. Go to blazetv.com/SOTU. If you use the promo code SOTU, you will get $30 off your annual subscription. With Blaze TV Plus, you'll get no BS, no clickbait distractions, only the stories that matter to you from both Blaze TV and Blaze News. So again, if you haven't subscribed, join us. Go to blazetv.com/SOTU, enter the promo code SOTU, and save $30 on your annual subscription to Blaze TV. Let me bring in the panel here. Sara Gonzales. We are sitting at your old table here, Sara, and you're on the wrong side.
This is very weird. I am. I feel deeply offended that you're in my seat.
Yes, I know. I mean, this is when it was News and Why It Matters. You sat here.
Yeah.
Now Sara Gonzales Unfiltered, you're over there in your
Yes.
beautiful new set. But thank you so much for joining us.
I'm happy to be here.
All right. We also have Dave Landau, a Blaze TV host of Normal
Hello.
World.
Yes, that's me.
That's you.
I'm
Thank you so
excited.
much. This is a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun tonight.
Happy to be here. Waiting on Joe Biden.
Yes.
Like just boring, waiting for like a movie with a broken projector. I can't wait.
It's going to be a lot.
Oh, it's gonna
be a lot
suck.
tonight. Yeah, yes. That is really where we start this evening. It's the whole thing's going to suck. We're
Yes.
just going to try to stay with you and give you as much enjoyment as possible as you have to get through this. And also, Jason Buttrell is here. He's a chief researcher and a head writer for Blaze TV's The Glenn Beck program. Sara, let me start with you. This is a speech that we are required by law, I think, to watch because we covered this, and that's the only reason we're all here. But there's going to be a lot to see. I think I'm really interested to see if he can get up for this. Can he be awake the entire time? Will he address the border? What are you looking for tonight?
Well, I mean, I think in previous speeches, and specifically sometimes previous debates and stump speeches, we've seen a completely different Joe Biden than we seem to see throughout his tenure. So it will be interesting to see if he does surprise us in whatever substances he may or may not be injecting into his body to give him that vigor that they keep telling us he has. Yet I don't see it. Every day, he does not have the vigor. He lacks vigor.
Yeah, yes.
So will they give him some faux vigor? I don't know. But what I would like for someone to keep track of, maybe this is for our viewers at home to keep track of, I would love to keep track of how many lies he spews tonight. Because when you look at the State of the Union in actuality, there's nothing good. There's nothing he can brag about. There's no track record he can tout. He can't take a victory lap on anything. It has to be completely contrived and made up because there's nothing else that he can run on. So I would love to know, keep track of how many lies that he tries to tell or spins that he tries to say hey, Bidenomics, it's working. Don't you know? Can't you see?
Yeah.
Don't you see it all around you? Yeah? Yeah? Don't you see it?
Oh, yeah.
And this is not a joke.
No!
Not a joke. Not a joke.
I'm counting
Not a
those
joke.
tonight.
Not a
Yeah,
joke.
that's the one.
Not a joke.
Not a joke.
Yes.
So it will be interesting to see. I don't know. Will we get the falling down, collapsing, about to die Joe Biden?
Yes.
Or,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
or will they have...
There's multiple choice,
Joe
Dave. You're
Biden?
supposed to wait for both
Right,
choices.
sorry. Will they have cocaine?
I mean, I think that it's going to be much stronger than cocaine.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
because
gonna have to be.
Dave, you're a man who knows a little bit about substances yourself. What gives you the appropriate amount of faux vigor to
Yes.
get through a speech like this?
Oh, for him?
Yes.
They have to tell him it's a booster and shoot it in his leg the whole time. Okay. I'm pretty sure they just have to have a doctor under him, just kind of hitting it like a morphine drip, except it has to be meth.
Meth. Okay, a
Very
meth.
high
I like
powered,
that. Yes.
good blue. What I love is what
It's
he's
just
done.
a booster. Just
Yeah,
keep
just the
boosting it.
booster. Just boost it. What I love is what he's done with diversity. Like if you look at the room right now, it looks like a Joseph A. Bank fitting room in Salt Lake City. So I mean, he's really done great. Everything that he's promised and thought that he's done, we're all very impressed. They should really get some cops at the Capitol to start waving his car in, as opposed to blocking the road.
Yes, yeah, you'd think that would be part of this. Getting him actually to this could be their plan, actually. Maybe they set this protest up so he doesn't have to do the speech.
That's amazing.
I love that.
That's a great idea.
I'm just saying, I think it's what's happening.
I think so.
10 guys
Like-
in masks who are usually wearing police outfits.
Sorry, guys, can't get through. He can't make it tonight.
It's-
We're gonna have to pack it in.
It's the dude that was in the Easter Bunny costume that was guiding him away from the journalists. He's guaranteed he's one of those protesters down
Oh,
there.
for sure.
The only thing that makes me doubt it is I think they want to save that for the debates. Like that excuse. It's like my grandma died. You can't use it twice.
No. No, you need to block the road
do
a
have
few
2 grandmothers.
times.
Yeah.
You can't just do it right now.
Right, exactly. Do you think, Jason, he's going to go after the border? A lot of people are questioning whether he's just going to ignore it completely. Is he going to try to just do it and then blame Republicans? That one.
That is what he's going to do.
Yeah.
He's going to. I mean, that's been they're actually saying crisis now, which is kind of amazing. I wouldn't be. Nah, he's not going to say crisis, but he is going to say, well, no, he actually might, and it's a crisis of purely of Donald Trump and the GOP, the MAGA Trump Republicans. That's what he's going to put it on.
It's so amazing. I mean, it's like as if we have not watched politics for the past 30 years. Like, these guys have been on the side of open borders every step of the way for as long as any of us can remember. And then suddenly, like 6 months before the election, we are supposed to suddenly believe they've turned the corner and taking this seriously.
The President's cabinet.
Oh, we're getting the cabinet now walking in here.
His cabinet, what is it? Imodium and Tylenol?
I tell you what, this is an unprecedented event. Usually when we watch these things, they're so dull, and this will be dull. But it's like I likened it before to it's like a boxing match. It's the presence of death. You don't really know who's going to get knocked out. You don't really know if he's going to make it through without falling out.
Yeah.
It's just you don't know.
Every time he speaks, it's more like when Apollo is about to fight Drago.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of like.
Throw in the damn towel.
Yeah. There's yeah. You know somebody might die at the end.
Yes.
But there's a lot of like celebratory moments.
I love that like the only thing left to do is just laugh at the fact that he's about to die at any moment.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you guys, like we're laughing, but we're not totally joking.
No, I mean, it's really, he's in danger.
I know.
All the time. Not to mention, almost everyone in the audience is also in danger of dying at any
Great
moment.
point.
Oh yeah. Oh, and the only way that he could look more, I don't know, with it is if Mitch McConnell opens for him and closes with a stroke. It's the only way.
He looks like Burt Reynolds in his prime,
Yes,
walking
then
up
he's
there.
looking,
That's true.
He's looking smoky.
I actually think they should have Mitch start the speech, and when he hits the moment he can't speak anymore, Joe comes in and speaks for that amount of time.
Right.
And then at the end, McConnell just finishes the sentence.
Yeah, it's like a tag team.
Yeah,
It's just-
that could actually work. I think we're fixing this.
We're so screwed.
No, I know, we are.
This is why, though, we should be in there helping them.
It's true. I actually have a good idea. And Len, you guys, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but Joe Biden, he's doing the State of the Union. I think we put one of those blue medical NFL tents on the stage. And then at any point, when he starts to fall asleep or fall over, he just walks in there, they close the tent, they jack him up with whatever, give him some
Quick
Jenny's ice
timeout.
cream. Yeah, and then he gets to come back out, and everyone's like, what happened in that tent? You don't know. Like, we don't know in the NFL. They could be shooting him up with whatever. It's behind the tent.
fine.
And I think that's okay.
I'm surprised he's not just in one of those Canadian suicide chambers.
Yes.
Just looking like helping them breathe.
Yeah.
There's not this many old people at 7 a.m. at McDonald's getting black coffee. It's terrifying. Oh, look, the Native American gal is right there.
Who, Elizabeth Warren?
Elizabeth Warren.
Ah, yes.
I didn't know she was still around. Good.
She might be the worst politician. If we were going to do a draft right now.
That's Granholm.
Is it Granholm?
Oh, yeah, gosh.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're getting old white people confused.
I'm sorry. I'm from Michigan. We've apologized for her on many occasions.
Yeah, not enough, though.
She
Not
did a
enough.
lot, though. She got Canada to dump their trash in our state.
That's nice.
Yeah, it was great.
That's
It was good.
Nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
We're doing a worst politician currently in elected office draft right now. I think you could target Elizabeth Warren as your #1 overall pick. She is legitimately terrible. Any of you guys have if you've got the
It's a
first
low
pick.
bar. Define legitimately terrible. I mean, they're
all terrible, but I'm saying worst. You were trying to pick the worst possible politician out of this field.
Gretchen
Who you go
Whitmer.
with? You're going Whitmer.
Oh, yeah. How many faked a kidnapping?
Yeah.
And then,
At least she's interesting, though.
well, that's true. It does give you something to talk about.
there's too many choices.
Are
It
we
is a
allowed to
tough
say
one.
that, or we've been kicked off YouTube?
Oh yeah, we're definitely off of YouTube.
Oh, yeah, there's no way.
We're a good 14 minutes into this. What are you
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about? I think Rashida Tlaib would deserve some consideration for #1 overall. Obviously, you got the AOC. Anyone in the
Is she
squad.
the queen of the Mall of America?
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
We're working on that. Yeah. Ilhan Omar, of course. Yep, she's there. I don't know. I think there'd be some
Jamal-
serious competition.
Jamal Fire Alarm Bowman is pretty bad.
That's a great one. Who was the guy that wanted the island to tip over? Hank Johnson.
Hank.
Hank
he is
Johnson.
American treasure.
Epstein?
Don't
Yes.
even put him on that list.
He is. He's great. It's really funny. Now, do we know, is he still in transit? Did he stop at like a Dunkin' Donuts? Where is Joe Biden right now? Do we know?
I believe he's dead in the car. Right now, they're just trying to revive him.
Yeah.
They're hitting him with defibrillators
Yes.
outside.
I feel like there's a chance we watch the speech, and every once in a while you just see ropes going to the ceiling when he's moving his arm.
There's
I
got to be
guess-
legitimate panic amongst
Yeah.
the staff. I mean, when he, remember after that report came out, and then the Inspector General report came out, and then he called that, that press address the nation later that night. I would probably wager 75% of the country thought that he was going to step down. And it was completely understandable at that point. But just the fact that 75% of the country probably were expecting that it was a possibility that he would be stepping down says a lot. But even then, when he addressed the nation, it was a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Absolute dumpster fire.
Do you think they pulled over at a gas station and they're changing him on a koala table?
The worst part about that joke is I pictured it.
Yes.
When you said it, the visible image is in my brain now of that occurring, and
It's not impossible.
I don't like you for it. I'll tell you that. I don't like it. It's fascinating to watch this because, Jason, you'll especially relate to this, I think, because as someone who writes for Glenn, I wrote for Glenn for a long time as well. Like when you are like preparing someone to go out and do a big speech like this, and I know I did with Glenn all the time, you have this feeling of like terror. Like he's going to go out and blow it. He's going to screw something up. Who knows? But, with Glenn, it wasn't he was so old he was going to fall over, but I don't know. He might get baked goods and bring them up on the, I don't know what was going to happen with Glenn.
Wait, was that a fat joke?
Well, it was a minor one. He's already left us. He's not even watching. But like it is, this is one of those times I actually do feel a little empathy for the people who work with Joe Biden.
Oh, absolutely.
Because they've got to be terrified right now.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. I remember it's funny with Glenn. Like I'll write jokes in there, and there's been a few times when he's read that as not a joke, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
just kidding. I'm like trying to get into his ear.
All right. Wait, hold on. He's walking in now. We can't miss this moment.
I would say
It's
probably
history.
a shuffle rather
It's a
than
shuffle. Yes, a shuffle. But he is in the building. Well, that's a pretty impressive. Not on his koala
They
table.
found the way.
And this pomp and circumstance stuff I have no tolerance for whatsoever. I don't like it. They all smile at each other, act like they're the best friends in the world. Everyone
He
kisses
looks
his
dead.
butt. I can't quite see him yet. Is he sort of hanging out behind some other gray-haired people?
Yes.
Well, yeah, usually when there's this many well-dressed 80-year-olds in a room, somebody's getting embalmed.
And let's not rule that out for tonight. It's very possible somebody gets that treatment.
This is another annoying thing to me: the color coordination of whatever cause they want to
Oh yeah,
represent.
so the white
What is the
is reproductive rights.
I knew it.
Oh my god.
I knew it. Chad Prather texted me earlier asking, and I was like, I'm sure it's an abortion thing.
Yep, it is an abortion thing. You want to make sure you're all color coordinated to make sure the maximum amount of babies cannot be alive.
Yeah, wouldn't red be a better color
Yeah,
for
I
you
would
on
say
that one?
white. You're not so
Yeah,
pure if that's
nah.
what you're.
What happened to your hood?
Yeah, black with hood. Yes.
Considering the locations of most of the Planned Parenthoods in America, that would fit very nicely, actually.
Good for you guys.
Joe Biden is making his way in. He looks, he's awake, but I wouldn't say he looks alert.
The eyes are
Or
not
alive.
open.
Yeah.
He seems surprised every time he turns around that there are people there.
He still has the.
Is this my birthday?
Yeah. Oh, I've never been so surprised. He still has the Crypt Keeper spiderweb hair
Yeah. Yeah.
that they put on right before he walked in.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's so disturbing. I was watching Parks and Rec recently.
Yeah.
And I forgot that Joe Biden was the heartthrob on that show of Leslie Knope, which is so bizarre. Like why did we accept that at the time? It was so bizarre. I guess at the
What
time.
year was that?
I guess he was a VP, so it was in that period.
Yeah. So he was
Someone
only
with a-
96 at the time.
Yeah.
Make America Great Again.
Oh yeah, got the hat there.
Oh.
Is that MTG?
Yeah, it looks like
Kind of got the. That would be my guess. But look, they all film. They all want to shake hands. They want to pass each other, little trinkets for the evening.
Who gave him a clean bill of health? Dr. Seuss? Who was it?
It was actually Dr. Pepper.
Oh, was it?
Dr.
Dr.
Pepper.
Yeah. That's the only one that would. Maybe Dre? No, Dre would. Dr. Dre.
Jay would not.
No.
One other thing I realized, and we talk about this stuff literally for a living every single day, and when he walks down the aisle, I realize how many of these people I've never seen before. Like so many of them are just giant zilches. Like they make no impact other than just voting the party line and you never hear a word from them.
Oh, ever. Oh, there's Schumer, Chuck Schumer, who looks like the Penguin from the first Batman series.
Totally.
It really does.
If he aged till today.
Oh, of course.
Yes, okay. That is Marjorie Taylor Greene, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that Snoop Dogg next? Who is that next to her?
Yeah, he's just rapping about Hot Pockets.
Okay.
I don't know who that is.
I can't. It's really we got a small screen here in front of us watching this, so forgive us not being able to recognize every face in this wonderful crowd. It's this accomplished crowd of American heroes.
You know,
Doesn't this just scream man of the people?
It does.
Right?
think
All
that-
of these elitists just.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Do you think
walking
they're all surrounding him just so that he goes in a straight line, like the way you would do,
ushering.
like with a puppy?
Yeah.
Just like a toddler.
Cattle.
I get confused a lot on where he is.
Just surround him so he just goes to the podium.
I think it's because if you surround him, any direction he falls, there's someone there to catch him. I think that could be the approach.
That guy has a beard that goes up to his eyes, and I don't care for it. I don't know who he is, but I don't like that at all.
The eye beard? You don't like the eye
When
beard?
it goes all the way up, it's just you just have a wolf man who's hanging out. And we're just gonna allow that.
Oh, yeah, it's true. I mean, I think there has to be. I know there's certain age requirements. Are there species requirements? Like you have to be human?
Is that how he identifies?
I don't know.
I don't understand. See him?
That
Look at
dude,
that.
yeah.
All the way to the eyes.
Oh yeah, he just got.
Oh, isn't that Hank?
It's Jack Nicholson
No.
from
Who is
Wolf.
that?
I don't know. Maybe it's. I don't know.
Al Green?
No,
Al Green. Yeah, I think it's
he'd
Al
be
Green.
singing.
No, it's,
Wrong Al Green.
Oh, not the sexy Al Green.
no. I mean, he's sexy. With the
Yeah,
eye
well, I mean,
beard.
yeah, he's sexy if you're into fur.
Yeah.
That is Al Green.
A lot of people are.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? Like you got the furries.
Furry.
Yeah,
And you got the. Yeah. I think that's.
that's true.
Oh my gosh, this is agonizing. It should not take 30 minutes for the
No.
president to get to the podium.
But
Why
to
wouldn't
be
you
clear,
just-
this is as fast as he can do it. If there was no traffic at all, this is as
still
fast
going
as
this
he'd still go this speed.
Why don't you just hide him behind the flag and then bring him out once everybody's in?
Yes, like drop the curtain, like a big
Right,
stage show.
yeah.
Get some drama into it.
He's got the catheter. Just let it happen.
Yeah, you could stand back there for a while.
Oh, I hate you, Chuck.
Good God.
It just.
I'm all taking pictures. You.
That's what I'm saying. This is the most
Oh, it's so
elitist.
frustrating.
What are you clapping for? That he hasn't fallen?
It did come down a slight decline.
Yeah, they're like, this is good. Did
Impressive.
you see that? There was a ledge.
Oh gosh.
Oh, no, he's doing the
he's,
selfie.
He's so vigorous he can take
Trying
selfies.
to take a picture of himself.
Oh, I wanted him to fall.
That's not a good angle, too. That's going right up to the nose
Yeah,
hair.
I don't
You're
even think
too
he got
low.
the
You're
people
coming up.
behind him. Oh my gosh, no. They are not chanting 4 more years.
I mean,
What's
look,
his slogan?
I,
407 cat bananas.
no one is this passionate about Joe Biden. Like,
No.
we all know that you don't feel this way about him. Yes, you want him to win because you don't want to be out of power and you don't want the other guy to win. But you don't have passion for Joe Biden. No one has. Jill doesn't even have.
No, you know who really didn't? Obama.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's true.
He was like, you guys want to do that? I'm out.
Yeah. He didn't want any part of it. He told him, hey, Hillary's running. Yeah, let Hillary run.
Fine.
He talked him out of it.
She can lose on her own.
Yeah.
But you want Joe? Yeah, I don't even have to worry about that one. He won?
What did he say? Never underestimate Joe's ability to F things up.
Things up.
Yeah.
Yep. And he has many, many times.
I think that's what I don't like about these now is the it's just not sincere.
No.
What do you mean now?
Even in the back in the day, like when you would have a president like Reagan, like he would talk, and just from the sheer magnitude of what he was saying, they would just burst into applause.
Yeah.
Now it's very clear that whoever was writing the script was like pause for
Applause line.
applause. Yeah, I mean.
Not to mention, they all got the speech. Like, all these excerpts
Yeah.
have been out for hours. Like, everyone kind of knows where this thing is going at this point. It's an embarrassment. This is the time for my annual plea to just turn it back into a freaking letter.
Yes.
It was a letter for our whole history until they just turned into this dumb event. I mean, yes, I like that you're here watching, of course, but there's no reason for this to be a speech. This could be an email. Is that what we were saying?
Yeah, it should be.
Yes.
This should be an email.
Should be,
Yes.
yeah.
Just email it to us.
Does Johnson rip up the speech? Would that be a good play?
No.
No, I thought that was pretty terrible.
Oh, I so do it. I'd do it straight.
But Johnson doesn't have that demeanor that
No.
like it would fall correctly. I don't feel like.
No, he's not. He doesn't have too much. I mean, I like Johnson. That doesn't have too much charisma, though. He's not that
No.
guy. I mean, now Pelosi isn't either, but she's
See, you were thinking charisma, and I was thinking balls.
balls. Okay.
On Pelosi?
Yeah, I think she has more balls than Johnson.
Paul loves balls. Sorry.
Allegedly.
I'm gonna go real low hanging fruit here. And by low hanging fruit, I mean Paul.
So we did pop back onto YouTube for about 30 seconds there. Now we're off
Now
again.
we're
Now
done.
off again. All right, Joe has made his way. He's got his 485-page speech that's triple spaced.
Look how hard it was for him to lift. Have you ever had to talk to somebody in Joe Biden's current state without having to hold back tears?
No. Not once. Not once. Look how hard that salute was. It was difficult.
It was very hard for him.
Just awful. Okay.
This just looks like somebody popping up from hospice.
Yes. They should have just built an onstage hospice.
Yes.
I mean, somebody in that room is going to need it by the end of the night.
Oh, for sure. They should have had at least a couple tents.
Yeah,
With the blue tent in the hospice, there's no room for the podium.
that's true. I think you
No.
get rid of the flags. You know, open up that back wall a little bit. I mean, we need some like IVs from the ceiling. This is the fake applause is going on. They're settling in. We're gonna, by the way, have the tour of the guests will come up during the speech where he will tell us all the people he's brought in to make points. They will all be terrible points. We will all be angry because of them. You know, I saw a couple of the previews. It's not gonna be fun. All right, here's Joe Biden.
Smart, I go home now.
The joke.
I missed the cold room.
Mr. Speaker, Madam Vice President, members of Congress, my fellow Americans, in January 1941,
He's definitely
Franklin
thinks that.
Roosevelt came to this chamber to speak to the nation. And he said, I address you at a moment unprecedented in the history of the Union. Hitler was on the march. War was raging in Europe.
That's to
President
hold them up.
Roosevelt's purpose was to wake up Congress and alert the American people that this was no ordinary time. Freedom and democracy were under assault in the world.
He's gonna say it.
Tonight, I come to this same chamber to address the nation. Now, it's we who face an unprecedented moment in the history of the Union.
You did it.
Yes, my purpose tonight is to wake up the Congress and alert the American people that this is no ordinary moment either.
Maybe he's going to talk to
Did you say
border.
wake
Not
up
since
the
President Lincoln and the Civil War have freedom and democracy been under assault at home
Oh, here it goes.
as they are today.
That's how he's
What?
What makes our moment rare is that freedom and democracy are under attack both at home and overseas
Such a moment.
at the very same time.
Michael Jackson.
Overseas, Putin of Russia is on the march, invading Ukraine and sowing chaos throughout Europe and beyond. If anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not.
There are a lot of problems he's listing, but like, who's been president for when all these have developed? Like,
But Ukraine,
He was president when they weren't going on.
Ukraine can stop Putin.
can they?
No.
We just give him
Ukraine can
$9
stop
trillion and
Putin.
lasers.
Stand with
It seems like a
Ukraine
real problem, Joe.
and provide the weapons that needs to defend itself.
This is his leading. Oh my God.
State of our union, he wants to talk about someone else's.
Right.
That is all. That is all Ukraine is asking.
Oh,
They're
my-
not asking for American soldiers. In fact,
They're
there are
just
no
asking for
American soldiers in the war in Ukraine,
$100
and I'm
billion.
determined
Just want
to
your
keep
money.
it that way.
Oh.
But now,
That's why gambling's
assistance to
everywhere
Ukraine
now.
is being blocked by those who want to walk away from our world leadership. Wasn't long ago when a Republican president named Ronald Reagan thundered,
Don't you dare.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
He hated him at
Now.
the time.
Right. He also hated black people in swimming pools.
Now my
Forget corn
predecessor,
pop and his chain.
a former Republican president, tells Putin,
But luckily,
quote,
children were
do
playing with his
whatever the
legs.
hell
He
you
was okay
want.
with
Yeah,
that.
he changed his mind.
That's a quote. A former president actually said that,
Bad
bowing down to a Russian leader, I think it's outrageous It's dangerous and it's unacceptable.
What is this weird thing where he just won't say Trump? Was that a Trump reference? I kind of missed the beginning of it, but it was a Trump reference. Why won't he just say, he's your opponent? Like, say who he is. We all know who he is.
America,
I think he feels like it's a slam. It's
As
like
a
some sort of
founding member of
disrespect that he
NATO.
won't say his name.
It's like Voldemort.
the
He'll think that
military
he'll
alliance
rise
of
and-
democratic nations, created after World War
Say his
II
name 3 times like
to
Vladimir
prevent
Putin.
war and keep the peace. And
There's
today,
been many wars
we've
since
made
then,
NATO
Joe.
stronger than ever.
Where are your safety
Welcomed
mittens?
Finland to the alliance last year.
Finland. So we have not heard much about our country, but we've heard about Ukraine and
Sweden
Finland.
officially joined, and their
Sweden.
minister is here tonight.
Let's take out Finland.
Can I stand up?
This is the Queen of Finland? Is that who it is?
Welcome.
And the Swedish
Welcome,
bikini team
welcome.
also here.
The name of that
Greatest State of the Union ever. And Sydney Sweetie is here. Hey!
Fight.
Is the guy in the middle the Queen of Finland? I don't know what's going on.
Welcome to NATO, the strongest military alliance the world has ever seen. I say this to Congress. We have to stand up to Putin. Send me a bipartisan national security bill. History is literally watching. History is watching. If the United States walks away, it will put Ukraine at risk. Europe is at risk. The free world will be at risk, emboldening others to do what they wish to do us harm. My message to President Putin, who I've known for a long time, is simple. We will not walk away.
Every underpass in America looks like the movie Train Spotting, and he wants to talk about this.
We will not bow down.
It's amazing.
It is amazing, especially that this is like this is not the number one issue
I will
to
not
America.
bow down.
It's at the number 12.
Right. Right. Like you're
No, it's not on my list at all.
In a literal sense, history is watching.
State of the
History
Union.
is watching. Just like history watched 3 years ago on January 6th.
Oh, there it is.
When insurrectionists stormed this very Capitol and placed a dagger to the throat
Notice he
of
skipped
American
over all of
democracy.
Afghanistan in that time period.
Many of you
No one was
here
watching then in
on
history.
that darkest of days. We all saw with our own eyes the insurrectionists were not patriots.
Speaking of eyes,
They'd come to
Popeye.
stop the peaceful transfer of power, to overturn the will of the people. January 6th lies about the 2020 election and the plots to steal the election posed a great, gravest threat to U.S. democracy
gravest
since the
threat.
Civil War.
Ooh, it was
But
close,
they
but he got
failed.
there.
America stood.
I'm glad they stopped all those insurrectionists like Steve Baker. I don't know how how did the troops do it?
America stood strong, and democracy prevailed.
Tom was
We
just
must
more
be
comfortable
honest.
standing for a lot of
The threat
reasons.
to democracy must be defended. My predecessor and some of you here seek to bury the truth about January 6th.
I didn't hear that about her.
I will not do that.
Not a loosey-goosey.
This is the moment to speak the truth and to bury the lies. Here's the simple truth. You can't love your country only when you win.
You guys.
Stop standing.
Oh, that's good.
Like, he didn't say anything poignant. Like,
Look at their reaction after Donald Trump won and Hillary lost. Did they seem like people who loved their country in that moment?
No, it
As I've done
seemed like good
ever
sports.
since being elected to office,
I'm a Lions fan, and I've had to
ask
deal
all
with
of
you
without
for 4
regard to
years.
party to join together and defend democracy. Remember your oath of office is defending against all threats, foreign and domestic.
You just skipped over 9/11,
Respect.
Joe.
Respect
This
free
whole
and fair
thing.
elections, restore trust in our institutions, and make clear political violence has absolutely no place in America, zero place.
except when it's Black Lives Matter burning down cities.
Yeah, that's not.
Again, it's not hyperbole to suggest history is watching. We're watching. Your children and grandchildren will read about this day.
How
and
many
what
minutes
we
are we
do.
into this?
History is watching another assault
We
on
got
freedom.
close.
And then
Joining
the
us
yell.
tonight is Latoya Beasley, a social worker from Birmingham, Alabama. 14 months ago, she and her husband welcomed a baby girl thanks to the miracle of IVF. She scheduled treatments to have that second child, but the Alabama Supreme Court shut down IVF treatments across the state. unleashed by a Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade.
Argument is so
She was told her dream would have to wait.
right. Like it's
What her
not
family
happening
got
anywhere
through
else.
should never have happened.
The reddest state in
Unless
America. This
Congress
was a
acts, it
2-week
could happen
delay.
again. So tonight,
This
let's
is
stand
so
up for
weird.
families like hers. To my friends across the aisle, don't keep this waiting any longer.
It's already been corrected. It's one
Guarantee
place
the
it
right
happened.
to
What are you
ABF.
talking about? Did you write this speech
nationwide.
8 days ago? Not corrected?
Oh, no, he didn't write it.
There's a lot of incompetent people working for him, so actually that probably is what happened.
So far, he's taking the most divisive issue,
Like
throwing
most
them all up
Americans,
front.
I believe Roe v. Wade got it right.
Because like the
I
segue
thank
to
Vice
January
President
6th wasn't
Harris
even
for
there.
it being
No.
incredible.
January 6th, I gotta say in the first 4 minutes.
Yeah, it was like Ukraine, 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 and by the way, about January 6th. What?
They have turned into like that old joke of like, you know, Rudy Giuliani would just say something, something, something,
My
9/11.
predecessor
Like,
came
that's
off
what they are
determined
with
to see
January
Roe v.
6th.
Wade overturned. He's the reason it was overturned, and he brags about it.
He said,
Look at the chaos
reasons
that has
overturned.
resulted.
Reasons.
Joining us tonight is Kate Cox, the wife and mother from Dallas. She's become pregnant again and had a fetus of a fatal condition. Her doctor told Kate
Congratulations.
This lie.
that her own life and her ability to have children in the future.
Wow, what was that? That was a full-fledged flirtation
Because
right there.
Texas law banned her ability to
Shoot
act.
marbles for a
Kate
minute.
and her husband had to leave the state to get what she needed.
His
What her
voice box
family
got
got
aborted
through
in
should
the
have
middle of the
never
sentence.
happened as well, but it's happening in too many others. There are state laws banning the freedom to choose, criminalizing doctors, forcing survivors of rape and incest to leave their states to get the treatment they need. Many of you in this chamber and my predecessor are promising to pass a national ban on reproductive freedom. My God, what freedom else would you take away? Look,
The ones involving murdering other people. That would be the way. That's where we would probably start. Yeah.
And with all due respect, justices, women are not
Stealing.
without electoral power. Electoral or political power.
Huh?
You're about to realize just how much you're right about that.
I think you said electro power. So,
They're not plugins, Joe.
I like electricity. Get there with my bare hands. Speaking of bare hands, you don't want to shake a grizzly.
That's a great example of the dumb idiocy of this event, though. They all knew that line was coming. He butchered the line, but they knew they were supposed to clap really loud there, so they did it anyway, even though what he said made no
when
sense.
reproductive freedom was on the ballot, we won in 2022 and 2020, and we'll win again in 2024.
Like, do you do a lot of squats? Or do you just like
you-
practice getting up and getting down like
You, the
100 times?
American people, send me a Congress
I
that
give her a
supports the right to
chair.
choose. I promise you, I'll restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land again.
Get back up.
Why are you going to do that? There's a Supreme Court ruling saying you can't do it. No, you're not going to
Well,
pass a
to
law.
be fair, he doesn't care about Supreme Court rulings at all.
That's a good point.
He just completely ignores
Cannot go
them.
back. I'm here tonight to show what I believe is the way forward, because I know how far we come. 4 years ago next week, before I came to office, the country was hit by the worst pandemic and the worst economic crisis in a century. Remember the fear, record losses? Remember the spikes in crime and the murder rate, raging virus?
Nope.
It took more than 1 million American lives
Murder rate.
of loved
That's an
ones,
interesting
millions
thing to
left
bring up.
behind.
The murder rate.
A mental health crisis
happened?
of isolation and loneliness. A president, my predecessor, failed the most basic presidential duty that he owes to American people, the duty to care.
I'm sorry,
I think that's
what?
unforgivable.
The duty to care.
I came to office determined to get us through one of the toughest periods in the nation's history.
Also, he
We
wanted
have.
us shut down for far
It
longer
doesn't
than
make
Donald
news,
Trump.
but news in 1,000 cities and towns.
Is he trying to
the
say that
American
angle, or is
people
he-
are writing the greatest comeback story
I understand
never
where he's going
told.
with this. It is not a comeback story, you moron.
Maybe he did write this speech.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
The only reason I think he's
story
not, he's
here.
talking about the right to life, and he
Tell it
would be
here and
euthanized
now.
in Canada.
America's comeback is building the future of American possibilities, building an economy from the middle out and the bottom up,
If he
not
does
the
this
top down.
job number.
Investing in
God,
all
I will-
Americans,
gonna.
Oh, he's
in
going to,
all
isn't he?
Americans.
Yep.
Building
Make
an
sure everyone
economy
has a
from
fair
the model
shot.
up and top
We
down.
leave no one behind. The pandemic no longer controls our lives. The vaccine that saved us from COVID
No, it didn't. Sorry.
are now being used to beat cancer, turning setback into comeback.
Same one?
That's what America does.
I didn't know that.
That's what America
Gives
does.
you the cancer.
Oh, then you could get cured.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't know the COVID vaccine cured cancer. Thanks, Dr. Fauci.
Folks,
He did promise to cure cancer,
Okay.
and he has
Economy's
not
on
done
the
it so
brink.
far.
now
Maybe
our
there's an
economy
announcement
is literally
coming.
the envy of the world. 15 million new jobs in just
There it is.
a record.
Record, Stu. Things are great.
You know you're lying. You've been fact-checked over this lie 100 times.
50-year lows.
But you started at people not having jobs.
A record 16 million Americans are starting small
You
businesses.
made
Each
everyone
one is a
stay
little act of
home.
hope.
And you're like, I can't believe they got jobs when we let them out of the house.
It was all me. It
was
me. I did it.
Hispanics and Asian Americans. 800,000 new manufacturing jobs in America and counting.
What are you talking about? They went to Mexico to build
Where
cars.
is it written we can't be the manufacturing capital of the world? We are. We will.
We're not, though. It's called China.
More people
India's
have
probably
health
the second
insurance
biggest,
today. More
An
people have
11-year-old
health
made this
insurance today than
jacket.
ever before. The racial wealth gap is as small as it's been in 20 years. Wages keep going up. Inflation keeps coming down.
No.
Inflation
No.
has dropped from
Lying
9%
again.
to 3%, the lowest in the world. And
Inflation
10
goes
years.
up, the dollar goes down, Joe.
I love that. From 9% to 3%. Well, who was president when it was
Right,
9%?
exactly.
The
Do you
landing
remember?
is and will be soft.
To be fair, I don't think he does remember.
50
Now,
million
instead
new
of
jobs, and 6 of
importing
them
foreign
aren't
products and
OnlyFans.
exporting American products, we're exporting American products.
should have thrown that in. That's a great detail.
American
Because I thought they were all OnlyFans. If
Yeah, I
six
mean,
of
it's
them weren't,
fair.
you should say that.
Where they belong. And it takes time, but the American people are beginning to feel it. Consumer studies show consumer confidence is soaring. Buy America has been the law of the land since the 1930s. Past administrations, including my predecessor, including some Democrats as well in the past, failed to buy American. Not anymore. On my watch, federal projects that you fund, like helping build American roads, bridges, and highways, will be made with American products and built by American workers.
His union pitch here. We're supposed to believe that Donald Trump is too free
good-paying
trade.
American
Is that what we're
job.
supposed to believe here?
Also, like, he's just now floating this as an idea.
Thanks to our Chips and
almost
Science
4
Act,
Been
years
the
president.
United States is investing more in research
I
and
saw a lot of
development than
American
ever
workers
before.
today building stuff in
During the
sombreros.
pandemic, a shortage of semiconductors, chips, that drove up the price of everything from cell phones to automobiles.
I'm not kidding.
And by the way, we
That is the
invented those
official
chips
category.
right here in
It
America.
is. I was like, that doesn't seem
Well, instead of having
regulation.
to import them, instead of private companies
What?
are now investing billions of dollars to build new chip factories here in America, creating tens of thousands of jobs. Many of those jobs paying $100,000 a year and don't require a college degree.
Fascinating. I mean, what do we have to do to get those jobs here? I mean, basically just give billions and billions of dollars to
In
companies
fact,
that should be paying for stuff
My
themselves.
policies have attracted $650 billion.
That was also called a
private
lot of
sector
money
investment.
before he got in office.
Clean energy,
Yes.
advanced manufacturing.
I used to notice that.
Creating tens of thousands of jobs
wasn't the rounding
here
error
in
in that.
America.
Now when he pays $6 for a carrot, it's different.
And thanks to our bipartisan infrastructure law, 46,000 new projects have been announced all across your communities. And by the way, I noticed some of you have strongly voted against it, or they're cheering on that money coming in. I'm with you.
You never did that, right, Joe?
I'm with you. And if any of you don't want that money in your district, just let me know. Modernize our roads
I
and
don't want
bridges,
the money in
ports
our
and
district.
airports, public transit systems.
I don't know if you're asking me,
Removing
but I don't want it.
poisonous lead pipes so every child can drink clean water without risk of brain damage.
Child.
What about you? Are you doing all the water testing for them?
Adults do that
Really
too.
affordable.
Only
Affordable
children,
high-speed
sir.
internet for
Even
every American,
Flint
no
after
matter where
7
you
years.
live, urban, suburban, or rural communities, in red states and blue states. Record investments in tribal
Very
communities.
stiff, I will say.
Because
Like, he
of my
has that
investment in
old
family
man
farms.
stiffness
Called
going.
the rigor mortis.
Yeah, okay.
because I invested in family farms led by my
I
secretary.
think he's actually wearing a toe tag just in case. They just have to put things time on it.
Yeah. Those farms and their children and grandchildren won't have to leave home to make a living. It's transformative. The great comeback story.
Did you just order a shawarma?
Home to an auto plant for nearly 60 years. Before I came to office, the plant was on its way to shutting down.
What, Packard?
Thousands of workers feared for their livelihoods. Hope was fading. Then I was elected to office, and we raised the Belvedere repeatedly with auto companies, knowing unions would make all the difference. The UAW worked like hell to keep the plant open and get these jobs back, and together we succeeded. Instead of auto factories shutting down, auto factories reopening, a new state-of-the-art battery factories being built to power those cars.
He's saying this in the middle of a time where every electric vehicle startup is down over 90% of their stock price, while big company after big company are shutting down their EV programs or backing them off completely, and he's acting like this is a win.
Oh, you mean like the Ford F-150 electric lines that my friends work on that aren't producing anything because the engines are exploding?
Oh, they're exploding now.
Well, yeah.
I know they have a lot of them on the lots. I just haven't been.
They're great cars, but you
Until the
can't
engine explodes.
overheat. Yeah.
That actually isn't a great car.
I'd
Just so you
imagine.
know, if they explode.
Yeah, if you live in Alaska. Well, he's talking about how the price of chips have gone down. They haven't. Have you rented a car lately, Joe?
Yeah.
Remember when you used to be able to name your price?
President Sean
No,
Payne,
no,
a great friend and
no.
a great labor leader. Sean, where are you? Stand up.
Also, they're not made in Detroit where the UAW was. They're made in
and
Tennessee because that's where Whitmer sent them.
And
Not in
Dawn
the
Sim,
Sorry, it's
a
personal.
third generation worker, UAW
Joe.
worker at Belvedere. Sean, I was proud to be the first president to stand on the picket line. And today,
Oh, God.
Dawn has a good job in her hometown, providing stability for her family and pride and dignity as well. Showing once again, Wall Street didn't build America. They're not bad guys. They didn't build it, though. The middle class built the country, and unions built the middle class.
And I got rid of them.
There's a huge pitch to the unions tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but
He needs to lock him in. Well,
I don't think he's not going to. They're not going to be fooled by this.
union members or union money?
Did he say the great labia?
I mean, votes?
When America gets knocked down,
Pretty sure he
we
did.
get back up.
Members, votes?
I didn't know it was gonna get this good.
Keep going.
All right, maybe he's all right.
That's America.
This is the passion. We're getting this. This is the juiced up Joe Biden. This is what you get in these speeches.
People.
If he could do this
Because
all
of
the
you,
time, he
America's
would.
coming back.
He
It's
just
because
can't.
of you, our
He would
future is
explode.
bright. It's because of you.
That's Ford
Tonight,
F-150.
we can proudly say
Buttigieg
the state
smiled
of our
like his
union is
vibrating
strong
massager
and getting
went
stronger.
Who's the one guy up there?
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Tonight,
Literally none of them won him for
tonight, I want to talk about the future of possibility
Including God.
that we can build together. A future where the
Time.
days of trickle-down economics are over, and the wealthy and the biggest corporations no longer get all the tax breaks. And by the way, I understand corporations. I come from a state that has more corporations invested than every one of your
Delaware?
states in the United States combined. And I represented it for 36 years. I'm not
Is he
anti-corporation.
bragging about the Delaware
When I
like
grew up in a home where
corporation
trickle-down
registration
economics
program
didn't
they
put
have?
much
Like
on my
that's
dad's
a
kitchen table.
that's an odd flex.
That's
Yeah.
why I determined to turn
He's like,
things around so middle class
I understand
does well.
corporation. I've worked in
When they do
government
well,
for
the poor go way up, and
250
the wealthy
years.
Still do very
Yeah.
well.
I was
We
there
all
when the
do well.
corporation was invented.
There's more to do to make sure
I was here
you're
when you
feeling
could
the
say anything
benefits of all
racist,
we're
then you
doing.
curb it later to become president.
Americans pay more for prescription drugs than anywhere in the world. It's wrong, and I'm ending it.
Is
I
it
thought
what
Obamacare
year?
was going to fix that.
Obamacare was going to fix it. He's already implemented multiple things he said was going to fix this, and now he's in year 4, and now he's going to do it. What idiot would believe this?
I would like someone to
For
fix
the
it.
law
Would you do that?
that I propose
Thank you.
and sign,
Please.
No, he
not one
can't.
of you Republican buddies voted for it. We finally beat Big Pharma.
No, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
Instead of paying $400 a month or thereabouts for insulin with diabetes, and it
It's
only costs
$600.
$10 to make,
We
they
made
only get paid
Ozempic and we sell it to
$35 a month now and
celebrities.
still make a healthy profit.
By the way, that was not in the
I
bill
want-
that they passed.
Wasn't that a Trump
What to
thing?
do next?
He did talk about it.
I
but
want to
think
cap the cost of insulin $35 a month for every American in Egypt.
You said that last year, and you didn't get it done last year.
Yeah, but just give him some time.
Give him some time. He just needs
hasn't
4
had
more
it.
years.
Yeah.
If he has 4 more years, he'll
4
get all this stuff done.
Has any
People
cabinet
have
been
talked
more
about
in
it, but
bed with
finally
Big
we got
Pharma?
it done and gave Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices
think of
on
any.
prescription drugs. Just like the VA is able to do for veterans.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not just saving seniors money, it's saving taxpayers money. We cut the federal deficit by $160 billion.
Now,
Why is he angry about that?
well, he's lying. I don't know if that's the.
Medicare
Now that everybody's switched
will
to
no
under-the-counter
longer have to pay
heroin.
those exorbitant prices to Big Pharma. This year, Medicare is negotiating lower prices for some of the costliest drugs on the market to treat everything from heart disease to arthritis. It's now time to go further and give Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices for 500 different drugs over the next decade.
Fentanyl, more fentanyl on the street.
We're negotiating with
making a
China
lot
to
of
lower the
money,
prices
guys.
of fentanyl coming across the border.
Black tar
And
fentanyl.
they'll still be extremely profitable. Will not only save lives, it will save taxpayers another $200 billion. Starting next year,
Does
the same
anyone
law caps
believe
total
this stuff?
prescription
Like,
drug
I
costs
just
for
can't
seniors
imagine anyone
on
does.
Medicare
Most
at
Americans wouldn't
$200
need
to $2,000
insulin if
a
they could
year.
afford to live on
Even
something
for
other than
expensive cancer drugs that
Takis.
cost $15,000.
Blue heat
I want
Takis.
to cap prescription drug costs
Every
at
kid's
$2,000 a
breakfast.
year for everyone.
There's some poison. See it? See after school.
Folks, I'm going to get in trouble for saying that, but if you want to get an Air Force One and fly to Toronto, Berlin, Moscow,
Here's where he
well,
goes.
even Moscow,
Ad-libbing.
probably.
Off
And bring
script.
your prescription with you, and I promise you I'll get it for you for 40% the cost you're paying now.
Hey,
Same
idiot,
company,
those people
same
will make a
drug.
lot less money than us, too. They don't care that
Folks,
they're getting it for 40%
The
less.
Affordable Care Act, the old Obamacare, is still a very big deal.
I remember that.
In the sense that it's driven insurance costs up, yes, it is still a very big deal.
People OD every 11 seconds. No, you've done a great job.
It's driven costs up, and your plan choices have gotten smaller and
Over
smaller.
100
Yeah,
million
other than
of
that, it's
you
working.
can no longer be denied health insurance because of pre-existing condition.
What?
My predecessor,
Is it the
many in this
condition?
chamber want to take this prescription drug away by repealing
Repealing?
Affordable Care Act.
To be fair, they've not run on that in a very long time.
They have
We stopped you
no
50
backbone
times
to
before, and we'll
attempt
stop
that.
you
None of them
again.
even are running on it.
No.
Everybody on the other side of the aisle has
Not only
given up
protecting it, I'm
on
expanding
having a free market system.
They enacted tax credits of $800 per person per year, reduce health care costs for millions of working families. That tax credit expires next year. I want to make that savings permanent.
Like, has anyone noticed all these wonderful things he's done for us? Like, why does only 18% of people think his policies have helped them if he's done all these amazing things?
Well, it's just us. We're just
State the
dumb.
obvious.
conservative
Women
media.
are more than
Yeah.
half our
Oh,
population.
yeah.
We're silly.
Research on women's health has always been underfunded. That's why we're launching the first ever White House initiative on women's health research, led by Jill,
Oh,
doing
boy,
an
Dr.
incredible
Jill.
job as First Lady.
Dr. Jill, you bastard. I worked hard for that title. Monster.
Be honest, like mammograms. We've done a lot. Save that. Guys, we're on
That's
board.
my plan. $12 billion
Like, we-
transfer
Fine, we're
women's
fine.
health
I mean,
research.
it's true, right?
benefit millions
Like
of
you go
lives
in there,
all
there's like
across
clipped
America.
flowers. It's pretty.
I know the cost
Wouldn't
of
know.
housing, so
You never got a mammogram?
No, I'm not old enough.
inflation keeps coming
For a
down, millions of rates will
mammogram?
come down
I
as
think it's
well.
like 40.
And the
Is
Fed
it?
acknowledges
Yes.
I didn't mean to be
I'm not waiting.
personal.
I want to provide an annual
I
tax
guess I'm the
credit.
only one that goes.
We'll give Americans $400 a month for the next 2 years.
feel like my doctor's
as
tricking me.
mortgage rates come down to put toward their mortgages when they buy their first home
No, it's right.
or trade up
And you
for a
do
little
have
more
to see the
space.
proctologist every week.
Oh, good. Is it right?
Just for
Do
2
you
years.
tip as well? I go to Arby's. Where do you?
Behind it.
Well, yeah, not in.
That would be weird.
And my administration
Dr. Dumpster.
is also eliminating title insurance on federally backed mortgages. When you refinance your home,
Why is he
you can
screaming like
save
this?
$1,000 or more as a consequence.
Drugs.
How do you save $1,000 when it's 10% for the
We're cracking
mortgage?
down on big landlords who use antitrust law, who break antitrust laws by
BlackRock?
price fixing and driving up rents. We've cut red tape so builders can get federally financing, which is already helping
Cut red
build
tape to wrap
a
it around
record
your neck when you see your
1.7
mortgage
million new
statement.
housing units
Can anyone
nationwide.
afford a mortgage now?
Now pass.
I just saw a figure where since 2020,
Now pass and
your
build
income needs to be
and
80%
renovate
larger
2
than it was
million
in 2020.
affordable homes
to even
and bring
buy a
those
house
rents
now.
down.
80% more.
You really lose track of how bad this has been. Like, economically to so many people, it's been a catastrophe.
Have you not been listening? Things are great.
Oh yeah, sorry. Not much is
Remain the
working.
strongest
Who
economy in the
doesn't want to
world.
get the equity in their home
We need to have the
for
best
an extra
education system in the world.
38% from a loan shark mortgage company?
And I suspect all of you,
To
want
get a
give
reverse
child,
mortgage
every
and
child,
leave your
a good
kids
start
nothing.
by providing access to
By
preschool for
giving
3
them
and 4
life?
years old.
Oh.
You know, I think I pointed out last year. I think I pointed out last year that children coming from broken homes where there's no
It always
books, they're
impresses
not read to, not
It's just
spoken
like,
to very
how
often.
many times do they stand up and sit
Start
down per
school,
session?
kindergarten,
It
or first
impresses you or
grade,
just-
having heard a million
Both,
fewer words
but
spoken.
it is impressive.
Well, studies
Our country's
show
ability to do meth
that children who
and
go to
4 or 5
preschool are nearly
prostitutes a day.
50% more likely
It's kind of
to
disgusting, but it's impressive, right?
Yeah, it is.
At some point, you're like,
it's true.
no
dude.
matter what their background is.
What book does he have there? Is that Ashley's diary he's hiding?
When does he get to the shower part?
Yeah, it's for kids from broken homes. Let's talk about that,
Met
Joe.
a year and a half ago with the leaders of the Business Roundtable. They were mad that they were angry, I think, well, they were discussing
Sorry, my handkerchief is making
why
me
I
fall.
wanted to spend money on education. I pointed out to them as vice president, I met with over 182 of those folks. Don't hold me to the exact number. And I asked them what they need most, the CEOs. And you've had the same experience on both sides of the aisle. They say a better educated workforce, right? So I looked at them and I say, I come from Delaware. DuPont used to be the 8th largest corporation in the world. And every new enterprise they bought, they educated the workforce.
What's happening?
This is a
I
terrible
think he's
story.
talking
But none
about
of you do that
education.
anymore.
I think.
Why are you angry with me providing you the opportunity for the best educated workforce in the world?
By having a drag
They all
queen
looked at me and
grind in your
said,
kid's face in every
you're right."
library.
I want to expand
What'd they
high-quality
say?
tutoring and summer learning to see that every child learns to read by 3rd grade.
That was
What?
That was like falling into the pit in the sand with a worm mouth in Star Wars. Like we got down into that.
He's talking about grown-ups, and then it turned into
So
something
students
else.
get
Yeah.
hands-on experience and a path to good paying job, whether or not they go to college. And I want to make sure the college is more affordable.
Yeah, there's gonna
Let's
be a,
continue increasing the Pell Grants to working and middle-class
Working
families and
boys.
increase record investments in HBCUs.
I wonder why.
And
I don't know, especially when he wants to forgive the loans all the time. Who cares how much it costs?
Because of the government.
He wants colleges more hands-on, like Jerry Sandusky.
When I was told I couldn't universally just change the way in which we dealt with student loans, I fixed 2 student loan programs that already existed.
He's saying
Reduce
that
the
right in
burden
front
of
of
student debt.
Supreme
SCOTUS.
Court.
For nearly 4 million Americans, including
I ignored
nurses,
you.
firefighters,
Yeah.
and others in public service.
How do they not pivot the camera to them right now?
shit show them although they
Like
won't.
Keenan Jones, a public educator from Minnesota, who's here with us tonight. Keenan, where are you?
Oh, here we go. Nice guess.
Keenan,
Should have
thank
worn
you.
all white.
He's educated hundreds of students so they can go to college. Now he's able to help, after debt forgiveness, get his own daughter to college.
He's still saying this right in front of him. It's amazing.
Is it amazing? He
Folks,
doesn't
look.
care. I don't know.
Great lesson. Let's do it. And
Such
they should
relief
all
is good
remember
for
that
the
when they
economy
roll
because
against their
folks
next
are
one.
now able to buy a home,
might as well just be flipping
start
them
a
off while he's
business,
telling
start
the
a
story.
family. While we're at it, I want to give public school teachers a raise.
Oh, they're doing so good indoctrinating our children. They can't read, they can't write, they don't know how to do math, but they do know all the genders. Thank you. Thank you.
My kid went to a public school for a minute, and there were third graders.
And by the way, the first couple years we
ABCs
cut
in a
the
nice
deficit.
area, and you're like, this isn't.
Now, let me speak to the question of
remotely
fundamental
okay.
fairness for all
supposed to happen?
Americans. I've been delivering real results in fiscally responsible ways.
Brisket?
We've already cut the federal deficit.
Brisket
We've already cut the
responses.
federal deficit
Yeah,
over $1 trillion.
It means you have to have water.
I signed the bipartisan deal.
Very dry cracker.
Cut another $1 trillion in the next decade. It's my goal to cut the federal deficit another $3 trillion by making big corporations and very wealthy finally beginning to pay their fair share.
Lord.
Did you say a tree trillion?
3 trillion.
Look,
What holds in
I'm a
his teeth?
capitalist. If you want to make or can make $1 million or millions of bucks, that's great. Just pay your fair share in taxes.
Oh, yeah. Just, you know, like Hunter. Hunter's been
tax
paying his
code.
fair share.
This is
0%.
how we invest things to make this country great. Healthcare, education, defense, and so much more. But here's the deal. The last administration enacted a $2 trillion tax cut. Overwhelmingly benefit the top 1%, the very wealthy, the biggest corporations,
a million times.
and exploded the federal deficit.
Oh, he did that, even though the projections of the
more to the
deficit
national
after those
debt
tax
than
cuts
any
were much
presidential
lower than the
term in
deficit actually
American
was
history.
because of what you did.
Check the numbers.
Yeah, we'll check them.
Okay.
Oh, no problem. We'll get to
Does
that.
anybody really think the tax code is fair?
A deficit, I mean.
Do you really
my
think the
pants.
wealthy and big
If I
corporations
exploded,
need
I still
another
mean exploded.
$2 trillion tax break? I sure don't. I'm going to keep fighting like hell to make it fair. Under
Let's make
my
everyone
plan,
poor.
nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay additional penny in federal taxes. Nobody, not one penny.
So, of course, there's another thing that's
And they
been
haven't
disproven
yet.
multiple times.
In fact,
He doesn't care. He doesn't care.
the
keep
child
saying
tax
it.
credit I passed during the pandemic cut taxes for millions of working families and cut child poverty in half.
It also wasn't a tax credit. You just started sending them
Restore
checks.
that child tax credit.
Tax credit.
No child should go hungry in this country.
Kamala has a face like
The way
a
to make the tax
trampoline and
code
then
fair
a neck like a
To
parachute.
make big corporations and very wealthy begin to pay their fair share.
Been deployed.
Remember in 2020, 55 of the
Sorry,
biggest
hater.
companies in America made $40 billion
I don't like her.
and paid zero in
He's the
federal
young
income
one.
tax. Zero. Not anymore. Thanks to the law I wrote and we signed, big companies have to pay a minimum of 15%. But that's still less than working people pay in federal taxes. It's time to raise corporate minimum tax to at least 21%.
Can we lower the taxes on the people you keep saying are paying too much?
So every big corporation finally
We're at the point
begins
now
to pay
where
their fair
even,
share.
I mean, we went through an entire Republican primary, and I don't
Also
think I
want to
heard
end
one
tax breaks
pitch
for
for
big
a tax
pharma,
cut
big
plan.
oil, private
Not
jets,
from any of those
massive executive
Republicans.
Pay when it's only supposed to be
Incredible.
$1 million that could be deducted.
But lots of talking about
They can
cutting
pay
spending, though.
$20 million
Sure
if
you
they
heard.
want, but
No.
deduct $1
Oh,
million.
you didn't hear that either?
Not one bit.
End it now. You know, there are 1,000 billionaires in America.
Good.
You know what
Make
the
it
average federal
10,000. tax
tax is for those billionaires? No. They're making great sacrifices, 8.2%. A teacher, a sanitation
go.
worker, or a nurse.
As you know, we've already
Oh, there she
I
is.
propose
Right?
a minimum tax for billionaires of
If there's
25%, just 25%. You know what that would raise? That
What?
would raise $500 billion over the next 10 years.
1/70th of the next
And
program
imagine
you
what that could do
propose.
for America. Imagine a future with affordable child care.
I love to watch
Millions of
multimillionaires
families can
criticize
get-
billionaires.
They
Yeah.
need to go to work to help
Almost
grow
like a
the
slap
economy.
fight, you
Yeah.
know.
Imagine a future with paid leave, because no one should have to choose between
We're getting some, obviously some technical difficulties there. We're rejoining
Imagine.
ancient
Imagine a future of
corpse.
home care and elder care.
front of the country speaking.
And
His face
people
was
living
melting
with
off.
disabilities,
My favorite about
so they can stay in their homes and
Multimillionaire
family
versus
caregivers
billionaire
can
fight
finally
when Bernie Sanders
get the pay
stopped.
they deserve.
including millionaires.
Yeah, million. Oh, crap.
Once again,
Well, turns out now I'm a millionaire, so it's just the billionaires.
many of my friends
Forget about the millionaires now.
on the other side of the aisle
Never
want to put
sat
Social
first
Security on
class.
the chopping
Who
block.
cares?
If anyone
either.
here tries
But I
to
do
cut
see
Social Security,
delta
Medicare, or
comfort in
raise
an
your
aisle.
retirement age, I will stop.
A lot of leg room. Wow, what sacrifices, Brian?
The working people who built this country pay more into Social Security than millionaires and billionaires do. It's not fair.
No, not
We have
true
2
either.
ways to go.
As you know, there's a
Republicans
limit,
can cut
and
Social
billionaires
Security
and
give more
billionaires
tax
hit it
breaks to the
every year.
wealthy. That's the proposal. Oh no. You guys don't want another $2 trillion tax cut?
I would love one.
kinda thought
When
that's what
does
the
that
plan
come?
was. Well, that's good to hear. You're not going to cut another $2 trillion for the super wealthy. That's good to hear. I'll protect and strengthen Social Security and make the wealthy pay their fair share.
It's like if a goldfish was an auctioneer.
Look,
Just no memory. just every second forgot what
too many
happened.
corporations raise prices to pad their profits, charging more and more for less and less.
I mean, this is so dumb.
That's why we're
They're
cracking
doing it
down on
because of
corporations
you.
that engage in
All
price
the inflation
gouging and deceptive
you
pricing,
charged
from food to
forces
healthcare to
them
housing.
to give people
In fact, the
smaller
snack companies
packages for the
think
same price.
You won't notice if they change the size of the bag and put a hell of a lot fewer, same size bag, put fewer chips in it. No, I'm not joking.
There it goes.
Call Street Prices. Pass Bobby Casey's bill and stop
Hunter
this.
hates a smaller bag.
I really mean it.
Hilo.
I can't believe he's really going all in.
This is so dumb.
That's a
Well,
bill
they
to
saw
prevent
that
them from
commercial
keeping their
on
profit margins
Snickers
healthy.
bars. You get charged the same amount, and you got about, I don't know, 10% fewer Snickers in it. Look, I'm also getting rid of junk fees. Those hidden fees
No, you're not.
at the end of your bill that are there without your knowledge.
He's going to do this credit card thing where he
My
wants to lower it to
administration announced we're
$8
cutting credit
for
card
the
late fees from $32 to $8.
Thank you. There it is. Something that would be incredibly stupid and would just make credit card companies raise their interest
Banks
rates
and
more and
credit
everyone
card
else to pay for it.
companies
Like, it's so stupid.
Are
But
allowed to
Yeah,
charge
because the
what it costs
21%
them
isn't bad enough. Let's
to
jack it up to
investigate
50.
the collection. And that's more a hell of a lot like $8 and 30-some dollars. They don't like it. Credit card companies don't like it.
Which, by the way,
saving
they
the
can't
American
pay their
families
bills. They're going into
$20
credit card debt
billion
because of
in
you.
junk fees I'm eliminating.
Record amount.
Yes.
close all the businesses they worked at.
Folks at home,
Oh no, it broke $1 trillion.
that's
wasn't
why the
it
banks
recently?
are so mad. It's $20 billion
probably.
Yeah,
in profit.
it's
I believe
insane.
It broke $1 trillion. Yeah.
I
I'm
think
not
it's
stopping
at an
there.
all-time record.
My
Right now.
administration proposed
Yeah,
rules
yeah, I
to
think
make
it's like
cable,
over $1 trillion.
travel,
Right.
utilities,
1.1 or
online
something.
ticket sellers tell you the total price up front, so there are no surprises. It matters.
Taylor Swift tickets.
It matters.
It matters.
It doesn't matter.
so
It doesn't
does
matter.
this.
That's not something the government has to get involved in at all.
In November,
If you don't want to buy the tickets, don't buy the
my
tickets.
team began serious negotiation with a bipartisan group of senators. The result was a bipartisan bill with the toughest set of border security reforms we've ever seen.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, you don't think so?
No.
Oh, you don't like that bill, huh?
Nope.
That conservatives got together and said it was a good bill?
What,
No.
4
I'll be
conservatives in the
darned.
Senate?
That's amazing.
Conservatives.
That bipartisan bill would hire 1,500 more security agents and officers, 100 more immigration judges, help
Not needed.
Process them into the
2 million
country.
cases,
Not needed.
4,300 more asylum officers,
Not
and new
needed.
policies so they can resolve cases in 6 months instead of 6 years now.
Not needed.
Or we could just not let them in the first place.
Yeah. Such bullcrap.
But if you're
We don't need any of those people.
But if you're listening to this and you're on their side, he's like, yeah, it makes complete sense. None of that would
Oh,
stop
by the
what's
way, it would
happening
also
right now.
give way more money
high-tech
to
drug
Ukraine.
detection
Marjorie
machines
Taylor
to
Greene looks like she
significantly
just
increase
got
the
back
ability to
from Myrtle
screen
Beach.
and stop vehicles smuggling fentanyl into America. That's killing thousands of children.
Under whose watch
would
is this
save
happening?
lives.
Do you know you're the president?
And bring order to the border.
You might not.
How do you think it
It'll
gets
also
here?
give me and any new president
It's the border.
new emergency authority to temporarily shut down the border when the number of migrants at the border is overwhelming. The Border Patrol Union has endorsed this bill.
The only time it has
Federal
ever
Chamber
hit the
of Commerce
standard he
is-
calls
yeah, yeah.
overwhelming is during
You're
his
saying no,
presidency.
look at
It's
the
literally
facts.
the only time in American history it's hit that
I
standard.
know
Isn't it like at 5,000 or something like that? Is that the?
I know you know how to read.
For 6 days in a row, we've hit 7,000 just at the southern border.
Ooh, we've done better.
We are number one.
No, wait.
Given the opportunity
It's like
for a
golf.
majority.
You want the number one.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, is that
endorse
it?
the bill as well. A majority
Son
right
of a
now.
Gunderson.
Yeah, I thought we were doing great.
Unfortunately, politics has derailed this bill so far.
Well, that's terrible news.
I'm told my predecessor called members of Congress in the Senate to demand they block
You're
the
told
bill.
by him. He told you he did it.
Feels Political win. He viewed it as a political win for me and a political loser for
He
him.
just ate peanut butter.
It's not about him. It's not about me. I'd be a winner. Not really.
What?
That's MTG, guaranteed.
They did their best to try to get them to not do this because it doesn't help.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed
Lincoln Riley, the coach?
by an illegal.
Holy crap,
That's
he's
right.
dead?
But how many of the thousands of people being killed by illegals?
Yeah.
To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself.
That doesn't change.
I
Having a
understand.
conversation here.
But
you know?
look, if we change the dynamic at the border, people pay these smugglers $8,000 to get across the border because they know if
You're
they
letting
get
them in.
by, if they get by and let into the country, it's 6 to 8 years before they have a hearing.
Right.
Because you're letting them
Don't let 'em in.
Chance of the $8,000. But if it's only 6 weeks, the idea is it's highly unlikely that people will pay that money
Imagine
and gum all that
it could
way,
just be
knowing
zero.
that they'll be
Yeah.
able to be
It could
It'd
kicked
be 0
out
weeks
quickly.
and 0 days and 0
Folks.
minutes and 0 seconds.
If they get in, the 6 weeks is just going to be
I would respectfully
in 6
say,
weeks they
yes,
skip
my
the trial date
my
instead of in
Republican
6
friends
months.
owe it to
Right.
the American
Listen,
people.
as
Get
someone
this
who's been
bill
to
done.
court a lot,
We need to act now.
if there's an overflow, it's not going to be 6 weeks. It doesn't matter. If there's that many cases, it's impossible.
Not adding a few hundred judges.
No.
Difference there.
It wouldn't even matter.
8.1 million
my predecessor is
asylum
watching.
seekers are now in legal limbo, not
Instead
really
of
knowing what to do
paying
right now.
politics.
8.1 million.
And pressuring members of Congress to block the bill, join me.
That's
Telling the Congress
You
to
have
pass
100
it.
judges going,
We
you
can do
get
it
out of
together.
here.
But that's what he apparently here's what he will not do.
Throw flowers like a bride.
I
Whoever
will
catches them
not
stays.
demonize immigrants saying they are poison in the blood of our country.
Did we say
I would
that?
think murdering innocent Americans would be poisoning.
Separate families.
Didn't Trump get in trouble for saying something about poisoning our blood or something recently?
I will
Now
That's what
he's.
he's saying. No, he's saying
Ban
he would
people
not say
because
that.
of their
Oh,
faith.
okay, got it.
Unlike my predecessor on my first day in office, I introduced a comprehensive bill to fix our immigration system. Take a look at it. It has all these and more. Secure the border. Provide a pathway to citizenship for
No,
dreamers.
no.
And so much more.
No
But
pathway.
unlike my predecessor,
We want you to stop the people from coming in.
I know who we are as Americans. We're the only nation in the world with a heart and soul that draws from old and new. Home to Native Americans, whose ancestors have been here for thousands of years. Home to people of from every place on earth. They came freely. Some came in chains. Some came when famine struck, like my ancestral family in Ireland. Some to flee persecution, to chase dreams that are impossible anywhere but here in America. That's America. And we all come from
People
somewhere.
love America for exactly
all
90
American.
minutes a year when they do this speech.
Yes.
He spent a lot more on the border than I thought he would. But he still put the blame on him.
Republican.
Yeah.
Look, folks,
Did he breathe in a bug there? Like, remember that happened when you're
choice.
outside, right?
we can fight about fixing the border, or we can fix it.
You have not
I'm ready to
proposed a way
fix
to
it.
fix it
I just.
at all. And by the way,
Send me the
hold on.
border bill
He spent 3
now.
years saying that it was fine.
It was fine. And it was racist to do any of the things he just suggested.
Now all of a sudden we need to fix it.
How, I legitimately, do we live in a country where there is a single person who could believe what he's saying?
Happened
I mean,
59
I would say
years ago
the
today.
10 to
in Selma,
20% of
Alabama.
radicals who just hate Trump so much they
Hundreds
can't
of
see
foot
straight,
soldiers for justice
maybe.
march
Talk
across
to
the
any of his
Independence
Border
Bridge.
Patrol officials,
Named
and they'll
after
tell him
Grand
exactly
Dragon
how to
Ku
fix
Klux
We
it.
should point out that he hasn't
Claim
talked
their
to his own
fundamental
Border
right to
Patrol.
vote.
We just found that out, that
They
the
were
head of the
beaten.
Border Patrol never got one
They were
conversation
bloody.
with him in 3
Left
years.
for dead.
Yeah, they all said that.
Our
There's a
late friend and
template to
former
fix
colleague,
everything
John
he's
Lewis,
talking
was on
about,
that
and he
march.
got rid of every single one of
We
them
miss
with
him.
executive order. First week in office.
You say there's a template because Donald Trump had already done it.
Exactly. Yeah. Remain in Mexico.
Joining us
Deportations.
tonight,
No catch and release.
our other
Bring back jobs,
both in the
give
gallery
breaks to
and
the
on the
company,
floor,
but then allow there to be taxes
including
paid by
Betty
the
Mae
people
Fikes,
working there,
known as the voice of Selma.
because it would give jobs.
daughter of
but then
gospel
they'd be
singers and
fairly
preachers.
taxed.
She
Whatever.
sang songs of prayer and protest on that bloody Sunday to help shake the nation's conscience. 5 months later, the Voting Rights Act passed and was signed into law.
Sorry, was he just quoting you too?
Thank you, thank you,
That's
thank
pride,
you.
I think.
Yeah, okay, just want to make sure.
He's talking about the Voting Rights Act under Clinton right now? Every time now?
No idea.
Or voter
Talking over
registration?
setups. I mean, they're bad. Maybe he's explaining some of these things.
Yeah. Half this room is just glad the
But
Epstein Island thing wasn't
59
brought up.
years later,
Like,
there are forces taking us back in time.
Oh, here we go.
Voter suppression,
Yep.
He was.
election subversion,
We're going to the democracy
unlimited dark
part of the
money,
speech now.
extreme gerrymandering.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's
we don't want black
Many
people to
of us
vote.
here.
That's what here.
But
That's
if
what
you truly want to
you
honor
mean
him
the thing that he
and
wasn't
all the
for?
heroes that marched with him, then it's time to do more than talk. Pass the Freedom to Vote Act, the John Lewis Voting
Who
Rights
can't
Act.
vote?
Everyone can vote. Black people say
That's not true.
No,
According to Joe Biden, black people are too dumb to understand how to get an ID.
It's true. That is what they
Not
believe.
even racist.
And
there.
stop,
Right.
stop denying another core value of
It's
America.
really easy. That's actually, I find it annoying,
diversity.
quite
Yeah.
frankly. It's actually a pain in the
Across
ass.
American life.
I'll be honest, often
Debating
I don't
books.
go.
There you go.
Instead of erasing history,
It's even
make
easier.
history.
Last
wanna
time
protect
I just said, here's my
fundamental
ballot, and they looked at
Pass
what I
the
was voting, and
Equality
they
Act.
just put it into the shredder thing.
He
just did bruh.
I have your back. Pass the PRO Act for workers' rights.
Does everyone think this is good? Now, I think you're going to get on MSNBC after this, and
Raise
they're
the
going to tell us.
federal minimum wage.
Of course they will.
But
Because every
No,
worker has a right
this
to
is
a
terrible.
decent living
Maybe
more
like
than
you see how he's still
$7 an
firing
hour.
on all cylinders.
yeah, they're going to.
Well, Joe Scarborough was already saying that.
Yeah,
We're also
before
making
this even
history by
happened.
confronting the climate
He's
crisis,
more
not
than
denying
cogent.
it.
He's the best I've ever
I don't
seen
think
him.
any of you think there's
He's
no
better
longer
than
a climate
ever.
crisis.
On top of his
At
game.
least I hope you don't. I'm taking the most significant action ever on climate in the history of the world.
Leaning.
I'm cutting our carbon
see the
emissions
liver
in half
spots that
by
have been painted
2030.
over? They're actually weighing
Creating
him
tens
down.
of thousands of clean energy jobs, like the IBW work is building and installing 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations.
The electric vehicle thing is blowing up in front of our eyes. And he
Conserving
just keeps bringing it up like it's this big win.
30% of America's
His
lands and
forehead
waters
looks like
by
a ceiling
2030.
with water damage.
Taking action on environmental justice,
Very good
fence
point.
line
Yeah,
communities
it's
smothered
not
by the
good.
legacy of
No,
pollution.
like it's like popcorn ceiling too.
Yeah, yeah, you're like,
Pattern
this
after the
isn't,
Peace
should we
Corps
sand
and
it down?
Corps. I launched the Climate Corps to put 20,000 young people to work
Check it for black
in the
mold.
forefront of our clean energy future. I'll triple that number in a decade.
Wasn't he just talking about how he was going to like make the budget work and all this, and now it's like here's 19 programs that are going to cost $2 trillion each.
Right. So how's he going to do it in a
State the
decade?
obvious.
Yeah,
All Americans deserve the
point.
freedom to be safe.
It's going to be hard to do anything in a day.
Even at 2 terms, it doesn't add up.
Year before I took office, murder rates went up 30%. 30% they went up.
Doesn't help.
The biggest increase in history. It was then,
Yeah, I think so.
through my American Rescue Plan, which every American voted
Imagine
against,
if we
I
can
might
barely
add.
focus to get through
We
this
made the
normally,
largest
and
investment
it's almost
in public
unfair.
safety ever.
Protesters.
Last year, the murder rate saw the sharpest decrease in history.
Sharpest?
Violent crime fell to one of its lowest levels in more than 50 years. But we have more to do. We have to help cities invest in more community police officers, more
National
mental health
Guard
workers.
in New
More
York City
police. Oh,
subways.
guys, they want more police officers. Wow.
Communities that
Wow.
crack down on
Wow.
gun crime,
Did they get
retail crime,
funded?
and carjacking.
More
Keep building
people to
trust
go
as
to
I've been
jail
doing by
and lose
taking
their
executive
jobs.
action on police reform and calling for it to be the
that's true.
law of the land. Directing my cabinet to review the federal classification of marijuana and expunging thousands of
I feel like
convictions for the
every
mere
time they show the crowd and
possession,
everyone's
because
dressed in
no
white,
one
I
should be
think
jailed
everyone's
for
just
simply
low
using
from
or having
progressive.
on their record.
So are you talking about people
Take on
going to
crimes
jail
and
for
domestic
marijuana? Have
violence.
you been anywhere?
Right.
I'm ramping up
Literally
the federal
every
enforcement
place,
of
every
violence
street corner
against
smells
women
like pot
Act.
now.
I haven't been to a
Awful.
hotel in
Senate.
half a decade
So
that
we can
doesn't reek
finally-
like weed, no matter how
finally end the
nice it
scourge
is.
against women in America. There are other kinds of violence I want to stop. With us tonight is Jasmine, whose 9-year-old sister Jackie was murdered with 21 classmates and teachers in an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. Very soon after that happened, Jill and I went to Uvalde for a couple of days. We spent hours and hours with each of the families.
Suffer through
We heard their message.
politics.
So everyone in this room,
Endless.
in this chamber,
How about
could hear the
police
same
that weren't
message.
complete? You know,
Yeah.
don't say it,
Constant
but how about,
refrain, and I was there for hours meeting with every family. They said, do something.
Do something.
Do something. Well, I
police
did
could have
do
done
something.
something.
Yeah,
by
they had
establishing
for
the
about,
first ever Office
what,
of Gun Violence Prevention in
an
the
hour?
White House. That the Vice President is leading the charge. Thank you for doing it.
No, the vice president's leading the charge. For Save Now.
Meanwhile,
She's clapping for herself.
If not
know what
her,
she's
then who
clapping
else
for.
will clap?
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair.
What is this hair?
wait,
What is this hair
who's the
situation?
Muppet?
meanwhile,
Wait, wasn't he
Our
just bragging about how
predecessor
low
told
the
the
murder
NRA
rate was, and now he's bragging?
proud
Now
he
he's saying
did
how
nothing
bad
on
the
guns when he was president.
gun violence problem is?
After another shooting in Iowa recently, he said, when asked what to do about it, he said, just get over it. There's his quote, just get over it. I say, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it.
I've heard if you tell criminals to stop it,
Yeah.
then they stop.
Yeah.
That's true.
They're like, what? I didn't realize that you didn't want
I'm proud we beat the NRA when I signed the most
Stop.
significant gun safety law in nearly
People
30
were
years
murdered.
because
That's
of
why they
this
shouldn't
Congress.
have been born in the first
We
place.
now must
Right,
beat
everybody
the
in
NRA
white.
again. I'm demanding a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines.
Oh.
Pass universal background checks. None of this. None of this.
I don't even think he knows
I
that
taught
means.
the Second Amendment for 12 years.
Most of them.
None of this
I-
violates the Second Amendment.
Did he teach?
Vilifies
It
responsible
absolutely
gun owners.
does. But also, he taught the Second
You know,
Amendment
as
for
we
12
manage challenges
years.
at home, we're also managing crises
No,
abroad.
he
including
thinks
in
he
the
did.
Middle
Oh,
East.
okay, okay. All right. I
know the
imagine
last
if I
5 months
did.
have been gut-wrenching for so many people.
How
for
about
the Israeli
parents that
people,
use
the
this, I don't know,
Palestinian people,
locks on their
and
safe?
so
How
many
about,
here
like,
in America. This
doesn't
crisis
mean
began
everyone-
on October 7th.
How about
For the mass
none?
terror
How
by a
about
terrorist group called
shall
Hamas,
not
as you all
infringe?
know.
How about that?
1,200
Wiggle room in that one.
innocent people, women and girls, men and boys, slaughtered after enduring sexual violence.
Have gotten.
The deadliest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust.
Well, it's getting late.
And
long's it been
250 hostages taken.
All fading.
Here in this chamber tonight,
This is the
our families
October
whose
7th.
loved ones are still being held by Hamas.
long though. I mean,
Thanks
he's
to all
gone
the
longer. I mean, I
families
would
that
have
will
said,
not
look,
rest until
do
we bring
14
every one of
minutes
your
off
loved
stage.
ones home.
Yeah. Do a hot 10.
We also-
We'll start lighting at 8. Get rid of guns, but make it, you know, very expensive for any mental health care.
And defund the police.
Yeah.
I actually hate these people.
And the prescription drugs that really aren't necessarily tested, make that very easily accessible for kids.
Detained by the Russians
ABC,
Yeah.
easy
and others around the
equation.
world.
Just pump the kids full of
Israel has the
SRIs
right
and
to
good
go
luck
after
to
Hamas.
everyone.
Hamas ended
SRIs.
this conflict by releasing
Okay,
hostages,
Hamas.
laying down arms, could end it by releasing the hostages, laying down arms, and surrendering those responsible for October 7th. But Israel has Israel has a added burden because Hamas hides and operates among the civilian population like cowards, under hospitals, daycare centers, and all the like. Israel also has a fundamental responsibility, though, to protect innocent civilians in Gaza.
No clapping for all the things that Israel allowed to do.
This war
It'll be interesting to see if he gets any protesters.
has taken a greater toll on innocent civilians than all previous wars in Gaza combined.
Silent protest.
More than 30,000
They had auction
Palestinians have been
signs.
killed,
Did you see that?
most of whom
Bring
are
your
now
auction
Hamas.
paddle. It's going to do something.
Thousands and thousands of innocents, women and children, girls and boys, also
they heard the
orphaned.
goldfish auction
Nearly 2 million
town.
more Palestinians under bombardment or displacement. Homes destroyed, neighborhoods in rubble, cities in ruin, families without food, water, medicine. It's heartbreaking.
Their leaders should have.
I've been working nonstop to establish an immediate ceasefire that would last for 6 weeks to get all the
Yeah,
prisoners
why did
released,
that happen?
all the hostages released,
What did they
Get
do to
hostages
Israel?
home.
Just say it.
and ease the intolerable
It hit
and humanitarian crisis and build toward an enduring.
Oh, that was during
That was
whispering.
what- that's what he was
More
whispering
enduring.
about. That was
The
bad.
United States has been leading
The stroke
international
kicked
efforts to
him
get more
back up to an
humanitarian
8.
assistance to Gaza.
But he followed that
Tonight,
up with, and it's
I'm
Israel's
directing the U.S.
responsibility.
military
And it was
to lead an
clap, clap,
emergency
clap,
mission
clap.
to establish a temporary pier in the Mediterranean on the coast of Gaza that can receive large shipments carrying food, water, medicine, and temporary shelters. No U.S. boots will be on the ground.
How are they going to build
Temporary
this
pier will
structure
enable a
without
massive increase
any
in the amount of humanitarian
boots being on the
assistance
ground?
getting into Gaza every day.
He's going to float it and just like push it toward the shore and hope it lands? He's going to airdrop it
And
here.
Israel must do its part.
Crushes 40 people.
Israel must allow more aid into Gaza to ensure humanitarian workers aren't caught in the crossfire. And they're announcing they're going to have a
tequila?
crossing in
If
northern
there's any
Gaza.
more gaslighting going on, Jack the Ripper would be stabbing a
Israelites say this.
prostitute.
Humanitarian
just
assistance cannot be a secondary consideration or a bargaining chip.
I'm sorry, but this should not be the
Protecting and
focus
saving
of this
innocent lives
issue.
has to be a priority.
A quick little
we
mention
look
of
to
what
the
happened to
future,
Israel, and then
the
20
only real
minutes
solution
of.
to the situation.
Well,
Like,
Jason, when we
two-states
started
solution
with
on
Ukraine,
Yeah.
does this surprise you?
As the opening issue.
Correct.
Love too how they're like, well, we should
And
be able
I
to get
say this,
humanitarians
As a
delivering aid
lifelong supporter of Israel,
should be able to do that. It's like, well, the
my
reason they couldn't do it is because they were
entire
swarmed
career,
by
no one has a
hundreds
stronger
of people who
record
tried to
than
kill
I do.
them.
I challenge
That was
any
the
of you.
issue there.
I'm the
Also,
only American
when does the
president
State of the
Israel in
Union
wartime.
part come in?
Oh, yeah.
But there is
We
no
didn't do the
other
State of the Union
path
is strong yet, right? Is that at the
guarantees
end?
Israel's security and democracy.
It-
There is no
This
other
is the
path
prequel.
that
Whose
guarantees
union?
that Palestinian can live in peace with
Because it doesn't
with
say-
peace and
He
dignity.
did talk about
America's
the
union.
union.
There's no other
Yeah.
path that guarantees peace between
Soviet
Israel
Union is
and
strong.
all of its
Making
neighbors,
a comeback.
including
That is weird,
Saudi
though.
Arabia.
Doesn't he always say that line at the beginning? Maybe I'm
Creating
forgetting that.
stability
I
in the Middle
thought-
East also
That was like
means
one of the first things they
containing the
said.
threat
There was like a
posed
preamble,
by
and then you say,
Iran.
State of the Union is strong.
That's why I built a coalition of more
There you
than
go.
a
Whatever
dozen
you say.
countries to defend international
And he's gonna end
shipping
with it.
and freedom of navigation in the Red Sea. I've ordered strikes to degrade the Houthi capability and defend U.S. forces in the region. As Commander-in-Chief, I will not hesitate to direct further measures to protect our people and our military personnel.
Promised to always look like I was staring into the sun. I like how the military is just
For
sitting there
years.
like doing nothing.
I've heard many of my Republican and Democratic friends say that China is on the rise.
How
America's falling
long is this
behind.
speech? I am shocked he's still going.
They've got it backwards. I've been saying it for
He didn't
over
mention
4
Iran
years,
at all.
even when I wasn't president.
Entire Israel and.
America's rising. We have the best economy in the world.
There's a check coming.
And since I've come to office, our GDP is up, our trade deficit with China is down to the lowest point in over a decade. And we're standing up against China's unfair
Who
economic
started that?
practices.
I can't remember.
That this man
We're
has
standing
the
up for peace
audacity
and
to bring
stability
up
across the
China
Taiwan
as if
Straits.
His son.
I've revitalized our partnership and alliance in the Pacific.
Email came out today.
Right.
something happen
hasn't
there?
made
Australia.
a little.
Japan,
It's just we're just a little
South Korea.
compromised.
Was that it?
Thailand.
Little national security
I've
issue.
made sure
That's odd.
I'm surprised his
advanced
suit doesn't have like
American technology
boxers out to the
can't
ring.
be
They have like the
used
sponsor.
in China.
Surprised it doesn't have like
Not allowed.
CEFC like on the back of his suit. He turns around really
Frankly,
quick to be like, I'll
All
just
this
stretch
tough
it.
talk on China never occurred to my predecessors.
Sponsoring.
I want
the big guy
competition
in
with China, not
diamond.
conflict.
Rosemont Seneca
We're in a
down one
stronger
sleeve.
position to win the
Guys, he's wearing a
conflict of the
Beverly
21st
Hills
century against
hotel
China than anyone
robe
else,
from where the
for
first
that matter,
negotiation
at any
took
time
place.
as well. Here at home, I've signed over 400 bipartisan bills.
By that I mean
More
checks.
to pass my unity agenda. Strengthen penalties on fentanyl trafficking. You don't want to do that, huh?
Oh my gosh.
Pass bipartisan privacy legislation to protect our children
Bragging
online.
about being bipartisan. Why are you yelling
Harness.
at Republicans?
Who doesn't want to stop fentanyl?
Harness
Joe?
the promise of AI
I mean,
to protect us
besides
from
Hunter.
peril.
Because he's the only one in the country who has a
AI
tolerance
voice
for it.
impersonations and more.
Iocane powder
Keep
for
our children safe
Yeah,
obligation.
it's just like, that's how he
Train and
wakes up.
equip.
Eats with his
We'll be
cornflakes.
sending them on their way.
Yeah.
Care for them and their families when they come home and when they don't. That's why the song support and help of Dennis and the VA, I signed the PACT Act. One of the most significant laws ever, helping millions of
believe he
veterans
said the
exposed to
pig pack?
toxins who now are
Pack tag?
battling more than 100 different cancers. Many of them don't come home. But we owe them and their
You
families
don't know.
support. We owe it to ourselves to keep supporting our new health research agency called ARPA-H. And remind us that we can do big things, like end cancer as we know it. And we will.
And he's gonna, Joe. Is there still a website?
Has Biden cured cancer.com? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yes. Has Joe Biden cured cancer.com? Go check that now. You can figure out
Let
if
me
it's up
close
to
with
date.
this.
Has he done it yet? We don't know.
According to Google, yes.
No.
Yeah, Google says yes.
It says not all cancers, just most.
I know you don't want to hear any more, Lindsay, but I got to say a few
I'll
more
have
things.
ear cancer from listening.
I know it may not look like it, but I've been around a while.
Lucky you.
Oh, here comes the self-deprecating age
When you
part.
get to be my age, certain things become clearer than ever.
Clearer
I
than
know
ever.
the American story. Again and again, I've seen the contest between competing forces in the battle for the soul of our nation. Between those who want to pull America back to the past and those who want to move America into the future. My lifetime has taught me to embrace
Doesn't this man look like
freedom
someone
and democracy.
who can move America to
A
the
future
future?
based on core
yeah.
values that have defined America.
Does look
Honesty,
like Biff,
decency,
great-grandfather.
dignity, equality. To respect everyone, to give everyone a fair shot, to give hate no safe
He
harbor.
looks like he showed up to give him an almanac.
Now other people my age see it differently. The American story of resentment, revenge, and retribution. That's not me. I was
Right,
born
you're not
amid
throwing
World
people-
War II,
throwing journalists
when
in
America
prison.
stood
You're not
Okay.
for
trying to get the
freedom of
guy
word.
Got
who's
it.
against you
I
thrown in
grew up
prison
in Scranton,
right now.
Pennsylvania,
No.
Claymont,
You're not about
Delaware, among
retribution. What are you
working
talking
class
about?
who built this country. I watched in horror as two of my heroes, like many of you did, Dr. King and Bobby Kennedy, were assassinated. And their legacies inspired
But we're not
me
going to give protection to RFK
pursue a
Jr.
career-
Right.
We want to make sure
career
you know
service.
that.
Yeah. We feel that there's
I
no
left the law
reason in the
firm,
long
became a
line of
public
Kennedys
defender because
to
my
be
city,
worried.
Wilmington, was the
Why
only
would a
city in
Kennedy
America
feel like they're
outside
history
of
there?
Florida
Yeah. Something
after
happened.
Dr. King was assassinated because of the riots. And
Why did he?
I became a county councilman almost by accident. I got elected to the
It
United
was an
States Senate
accident.
when I had no intention
Oh,
of
I
running at
agree.
age 29. Then vice president of our first black president. Now president to the first women vice
It
president.
was what they call a bargain. Oh my gosh, the Kimberly.
Skin color and genitals. Yeah! Woo! Yeah! Talk more about private parts.
Come on, everybody. You don't need yours. I need mine.
I've been told I was too young. By the way, they didn't let me on the Senate elevators for votes sometimes. Not a joke.
Not a joke.
There we go. Number 2.
And I've been told I'm too old.
Not hyperbole.
Did he say they don't
you
let
are
him?
Whether young or old,
They
I've
don't let him
always
on
been
elevators
known,
to vote? Not
I've
a
always known
joke?
what to do.
That's a great joke, though.
Don't
You're
know
Canadian. You
the
know
Solid.
that. So
The
you
very
gonna open
idea
with
of
that?
America that we're all created equal
Want to make sure I heard him right.
deserves to be treated equally throughout our lives. We've never fully lived up to that idea, but we've never walked away from it either. And I won't walk away from it now.
You can't even walk.
I'm optimistic.
So we did nothing.
I really am. I'm optimistic, Nancy.
Hello.
My fellow
progressive.
Americans, the issue facing our nation
4 more years of what?
isn't how old we are.
Hoping for life.
It's how old are our ideas.
It's just
Hate, anger, revenge, retribution are the oldest of ideas.
pudding and applesauce?
But you can't lead America with ancient ideas that only take us back. You lead America, the land of possibilities. You need a vision for the future and what can and should be done.
That's why I have no
Tonight
vision in
you've
my
heard
right
mine. I see a future where defending democracy, you don't diminish it. I see a future where we restore the right to choose and protect our freedoms, not take them away.
Age
I
is just
see a
a number.
future
Up on a flight log.
where the middle class finally has a fair shot, and the wealthy have to pay their fair share in
As
taxes.
the man who has decimated the middle class.
I see a future
And also
we
considers
save the
wealthy
planet from the
just
climate
north
crisis.
of what he makes.
in our country
Always.
from gun violence. Above all,
And by that I mean $1.
I see a future for all Americans.
You don't.
I see a country for all Americans. and I will always be president for all Americans because I believe in America. I believe in you, the American people. You're the reason we've never been more optimistic about our future than I am now. So let's build the future together. Let's remember who we are. We are the United States
You
of
don't
America.
remember who you are.
And there is nothing beyond our capacity when we act together.
The reviews in innocent.
God bless you all, and may God
Absolutely.
protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Do you understand how strong I must have Yeah, there it is. It's like 9:33 our time, so it was about basically an hour and a half. He started a little bit after 8. It was pretty long. I mean, longer than I would have certainly recommended.
Does he know which way he's going?
No.
Is he shaking hands with a ghost?
Yes. He's shaking hands with a curtain and a microphone.
All right, we're going to do some reaction here in just a second. We're going to also bring on Glenn Beck. Before we bring on Glenn, I want to remind you, if you're a Blaze TV subscriber, you get access to our exclusive live chat where you can submit questions and interact with the rest of the Blaze TV community. You can also gain access to all of our Blaze TV catalog, including our new investigative documentary series, Blaze Originals. First 2 episodes are there already for you to watch right now. What really happened in Maui, and the real story of Colony Ridge, with new episodes premiering monthly. Our newest episode is going to shed light on what is really going on at the border. Texas v. the Feds, how the elites use the border crisis against us. It's going to premiere on Thursday, March 14th. So be sure to subscribe right now, blazetv.com/SOTU. Use the promo code SOTU for $30 off your annual subscription. Now, I was electrified by that speech, but you know, not everyone's going to agree with that, and I don't know what Glenn thought, but let's go to him if we can. Glenn Beck, host of Blaze TV's The Glenn Beck Program. Glenn?
Where does one begin? Let's start with the kindest thing I can say. He's not going to be able to walk or do anything for about a week. He used all of the energy that he had, all of the banana bags, whatever Dr. Nick juiced him up with. He did a good job to dispel the idea that he's an old, weak man. He dispelled that tonight. If you're ignorant and you only see him tonight. But let's just, his priorities, where he started. War. We gotta give more money to Raytheon to send more weapons out. Trumpers are dangerous and out of control. Then January 6th. Then IVF. I don't think that's a priority for anybody, okay? But then he went into Roe versus Wade and he chastised the Supreme Court and saying that he won't take people's choices away. The Supreme Court, that's not what they did. That's not what they did. They said it's up to the states. Well, you just lit a fire under every woman in America. Good. That's what the Supreme Court said. They should go and vote in their own state. It's not a federal decision for 9 judges in black robes. Let's see, then he went into the pandemic. And, quote, Trump didn't care. You can say an awful lot about Donald Trump and COVID, but to actually claim that he didn't care about it, he didn't care about people dying, is an outrage. But then he talked about how he's going to unite all Americans, and cure cancer with the nightmare drug that we're using for COVID. What are you talking about? I was just, we went into healthcare, and we have more people on insurance than ever before. Yeah, but he's going to double the size of that. Oh, and by the way, you promised it would be a $2,000 cut for every family 10 years ago. It's now $12,000 more expensive, and you want to not only continue this, you want to expand that nightmare? Oh yeah. Can I just do one thing on just simple math for everyone, please? If your inflation was 9% and now it's 3%, that means your inflation in total is 12%. Okay? You have to carry the 9 with you. So when they're saying about, inflation is down, yeah, it's not as bad as it was, but it's still what it was plus what it is now.
Yeah, there's this weird thing that Biden likes to do, which is brag about being the second worst of all time at something when he also was the worst of all time. So it's like, oh, I had the worst gas prices of all time. Now they're down to the second worst. That means I'm great. And I don't understand. I don't understand that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he's basically saying the government is the economy. Government's going to spend all this money and build everything, and that's what's going to put people to work. Well, governments don't actually create any wealth. They take the wealth from others and then spend it on crappy programs, and what happens? Nothing. It doesn't create anything in the end. Oh, except, quote, we're going to be able to have clean water without the threat of brain damage. I know I've been worried about that one for a long, long time. Did you notice he said a couple of times, before I came into office, but now the economy is booming. No matter how many times he tries to say that he believes in America, he clearly does not. Where were the stories about Joe Schmo, who started his own company and is now didn't take any money from the government and has now hired 5,000 people? He doesn't believe that. He believes the government should give people money, and they hire good union workers. Then he joins the picket line to get the union jobs more money. Notice the only real workers he talked about were unions. He talked about the good car unions, the auto manufacturing unions, and the teachers unions. It was all about unions. Then let's lower the price of prescription drugs. Okay, I'm all for that. But you cannot do that while you are in bed, literally, contracts with Pfizer and all of the big pharmaceutical companies. You're in business with them. You can't slap their face on one hand and then say, come on in here, I got a great idea. You make a product, we'll force people to take it. By the way,
you can also
Mike
check
Johnson.
if he has cured cancer yet at hasjoebidencuredcancer.com. Anyone wants to check there, you can always check up to the second.
No, he hasn't.
No?
Yeah, he hasn't that I know of. Can I just say, I don't really know Mike Johnson yet. But I love him after tonight.
Really?
I loved the looks that he gave. I loved oh dear God. I thought he was going to get up and walk out at some point. I would have. That's why I can never be in politics. I would have gotten up and walked out. I mean, it was, I just, we're gonna save people all kinds of money with their credit cards because I've reduced the late fees from $30 to $8 or $7. Okay, all right, let's just think this through. Do you think the banks, who you've been giving money through the Fed to the whole time, do you really think they're going to lose $20 billion and go, gosh, he got the best of us. What do? They're going to pass that $20 billion on to everyone. That's how it works, Joe. That's how it works. No joke. Not kidding. True story.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The only clarification
I've never been more frustrated.
Yeah, the only thing I would slightly disagree with you on that is that not everyone's going to pay that. The people who are on the higher end of the scale that pay their bill every month aren't going to be paying the higher interest rates. It's going to hit middle class and lower income people.
Hey, did you guys hear what was the shout? Something about Marines. Somebody was shouting up in the gallery.
Yeah, there were
Very big outburst.
a couple outbursts. There was one female voice and one male voice. I could not tell what they were protesting. I'm sure, you know, if you guys are watching on Twitter or whatever as well as we're doing this, you probably have seen it, but we didn't catch it because we were watching. I don't know. There were a couple interruptions. Yeah. Nothing during the Israel-Palestine thing, which I kind of expected. I figured somebody in there was going to blurt out something, but I didn't hear that.
Me too.
Overall, Glenn, I think I'll take that you loved the speech. Is that what I'm taking from your analysis?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. There you go. Glenn loved it.
Yeah, I will tell you that I only have a 3-hour broadcast tomorrow, and I will not be able to fit all of my thoughts and dearest feelings into tomorrow's radio program. It is a alternate universe. Let me just leave you with this. Oh, really? Oh, really? You want to fix the border now? Oh my God! Excuse me. I never use this. What an asshole! What an asshole! The way he was talking down to anybody who disagreed with him in his lies about the border. What a colossal fucking asshole. Wow. Good night, everybody.
Well, there's a first. I've been working with Glenn for a very long time, and I don't think, imagine what the radio show is going to be like tomorrow. By the way, affiliates, it won't be like that. I promise you. Glenn Beck, thank you so much for tomorrow. He's going to blow a gasket tomorrow. Thanks for joining us, Glenn. We'll see you in the morning.
Yeah.
Right here on BlazeTV, by the way. Wow, that was, I don't think I've ever seen that.
I did read what the Marines thing was.
What do we get?
13 dead Marines, referring to Afghanistan.
Oh, okay. Well, something he deserved to.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was the squad that were holding up those little signs saying, "Stop sending bombs."
Is that with the paddle set? Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. All right, Jason, talk to me about the border. How happy were you about his border commentary?
Well, I was, not happy. I was shocked that he spent so much time on it, but it was clear that he was trying to nail down exactly who he wanted to blame for and who he didn't want the blame to be landed on, which was his own policies. The policies that he was laying out, and that was like one of the most, I guess, frustrating parts for me, was he's like, I'm going to put 1,000 of these agents here and then 1,000 of these people to process and blah. Okay. Almost every single Border Patrol agent I've spoken to down the border says that they don't need floods of new agents down there. A lot of them even say we don't need floods of, new technology and all that stuff. There's political decisions that he can make that will make it to where we don't have to have hundreds of, thousands of agents down the border. Thousands of more to process claims. We don't need that. We don't. That's one of the problems. Once his policies have made it to where when they get over the border, get across the river, get into the country, they now have a process where they're just either paroling them and letting millions in off of parole, or they're just signing one of those little tickets and then saying come back on. Some of them that we recently talked to said they stopped even giving a ridiculous date because they just didn't have a date. So first it was like, come back in a year, come back in 5 years, come back in 10 years. Then it's just blank. Like, well, just hold on to this phone that we give you or keep your bracelet around your ankle and we'll get in touch with you.
But are they giving the super duper pinky promise that they're going to come back to court?
That's when you know it's serious.
Yeah.
That's when you know it's really serious. By the way, all those little bracelets or phones that they give them the phone so they can track them, and also the bracelets so they can track them. But what's hilarious is not hilarious, but what the Border Patrol told us is that once they get, I don't know, maybe like 5 miles down the road, they'll find a pile of them, like in the hundreds, cut off and just left on the side of the road. There are political things that he can do. There was one specific day, it wasn't the first day, it was within the first 1 or 2 weeks, where he got rid of Remain in Mexico, where when they started the massive parole, where they started doing catch and release. They stopped deportations. That is what created the dumpster fire at the border we have right now. And he will not own up to it. He did those things himself. He signed his signature. It's like that didn't happen. Like we can't pull those executive orders and show what he did. And instead, what Glenn was talking about, where he was being so defiant against he was like, oh, you don't want that? You don't want a bipartisan bill of 5 of your buddies and 100 plus that said no? Absolutely insulting.
It really is insulting. And of course, you were in the middle of this as it was happening on the border. You've been there. You've been watching this go on. You've got a new documentary coming out, part of the Blaze Originals series. And we actually have the trailer to that now. I want to show it to you because, as you know, this is going to be the biggest story. It's the #1 issue to voters right now. It's probably the biggest story in America right now. Jason was there. Check this out.
The standoff at the border is heating up between Texas Governor Greg Abbott and the federal government.
Politicians will never let a crisis go to waste.
We have been invaded, and we have demanded support from the president, and they have refused to do so.
Well done, Governor Abbott. Where have you been for the last 3 years?
The crisis is being used by Republicans as a photo op.
Well, there's nothing at stake with this Shelby Park incident. No, this is not a great battle.
Just down the road, you can get in no problem, no Humvees, no armed guards.
What people don't realize is there's a way around everything.
By the Democrats to expand their voting base.
More than 85% of everybody reaching the border is coming in. That's the definition of an open border.
And by the media to slander their enemies.
Supporters of the Texas governor are in a convoy going from Virginia to Texas as part of a group known as God's Army.
Fellow citizens and compatriots, we are besieged on all sides by forces of tyranny.
Oh, I love doing this.
These folks come with violence.
If you come in with hate, stay at home. If you come in with drama, stay at home with your mama. We don't want you here.
But we know that bad actors in the past have co-opted these types of events.
Well, we were peaceful assembled here. We were worshiping. We were praising. When they got here, everything started kind of breaking apart.
There's already agitators on the other side of the road here.
Before the judgment seat of Christ, are you going to go to hell and be well done?
What's happening right here, right now, could determine the fate of the next presidential election.
What the hell happened to Texas? We can take this country back. I swear to God, it's in our hands.
There you go. I mean, it's going to be a powerful story. It comes out March 14th. I mean, Jason, this is, you were there, you saw this happen. We don't know the truth.
No, I think the truth is going to shock a lot of people. I really do. The whole thing from the start was this, Texas versus the federal government. And it was a very interesting narrative. Got a lot of different, red states, a lot of Republican superstars, to come check this out. And I'm going to try not to get in trouble, as Joe Biden says. But when you watch this documentary, you are going to have an entire new outlook on how the immigration issue is gamed on every single side. And we saw it from the media, from the left, from the right. And I tell you what, when I saw this, there's a very specific part in this documentary where I think that you, the people watching it, will be enraged. Like, I cannot believe this is happening, especially right here in Texas. Shocking.
It really is. March 14th, it's all part of your Blaze TV subscription, blazetv.com/SOTU. You can save $30 off your subscription if you use the code SOTU. Sara, you watched this speech, not happily.
Sadly.
I'm sorry about that. Did you have a worst moment?
Yeah, I think, I don't know if we have the clip, but I'm still unclear on whether or not Joe Biden said Laken Riley or Lincoln Riley.
Right.
When he tried to say Laken Riley's name, it sounded a whole lot like Lincoln Riley and then a whole lot of garbage after that moment.
Let's see if we can decipher that. We do have the clip. Let's watch.
Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed.
Straight out Lincoln Riley.
By an illegal. That's right. But how many of the thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand.
Makes it about him.
But look, if we change the dynamic at the border, people pay these smugglers $8,000 to get across the border because they know if they get by and let into the country, it's 6 to 8 years before they have a hearing.
Because you're letting them in.
And it's worth taking the chance of the $8,000. But if it's only 6 months, 6 weeks, the idea is it's highly unlikely that people will pay that money and come all that way knowing that they'll be able to be kicked out quickly. Folks.
No, that's not true at all. That is an idiotic idea.
I would respectfully say.
So, Sarah, what made that the worst moment, other than his pronunciation of Lake and Riley?
Well, I mean, part of it is that, right? Like, if you're going to finally say her name, which her parents have increasingly used the hashtag say her name because Joe Biden refused to do that. If you're going to say her name, make sure you have the respect to get her name right. And on top of that, to try to act as if the solution is to give them 6 months to not show up for court rather than 6 years is just, it's disgusting to me. It's disgusting to me that he can sit there or stand there, shuffle there and then stand there, try not to collapse there, and lie to the American people about his border policy. The blood is on his hands. He owns that death, and he can't even be bothered to say her name correctly.
Yeah, it's amazing. It was such a strange part of this, too, is that, like, they say, oh, we could come in, and in 6 months they'll have this hearing. Well, when they don't show up, they're in the country, and in theory, we could deport them at that point. But your policy is that we won't, and you back up all these mayors who will protect these people in these cities, letting them get arrested 15, 20, 25 times, and then released out into the public. Yeah. And then they commit the murders.
Right, and his comment of, but how many thousands have been murdered by legals? I'm sorry, but
I can't.
Are you trying to? Do you think that makes Lake and Riley's parents feel better?
No.
The fact that you didn't enforce the law on the border, and their child is now dead because of it. Right. I don't care how many legal murders there are by people that are legal citizens. I don't care.
There are
that person had no right to be here.
There are certain
there's no legal murders.
Right. Well, but there are certain things that are out of our control, right? If there are citizens of our country who are committing crimes that we can't just deport because they're citizens, we can't control that. There are also certain factors that we can control. We can control not allowing unvetted strangers into the interiors of our country. And if that would cut the crime, if that would cut violent crime by 1%, 2%, I don't care. We should do it. It's very easy to just say, hey, we can't control whether or not these people commit murders. We can control whether or not we allow these people into the country to commit murders. Right. So let's just not do that here and control what we can, knowing that that will still make the number lower. Yeah. And he refuses to do that. Yeah. This man, he told them to surge. Do you remember that? He told them to surge the border. He told these people to come in, and now he wants to claim that he wants to fix the problem. It's just disgusting to me.
It very much is. Dave, you have a worst moment of this speech as well?
I do. I just have a couple notes because I'm a comic. I'm going to try to limit it. But yeah, there was the card chips. I mean, you guys are all worse, obviously, but the card chips one. I think we have a video of it. It's just the absolute ignorance to the fact that it's his fault. Yeah. You know, and it became an issue. It was not solved. And then used cars, the price of cars have skyrocketed as a result of it. And then when we were able to start building the manufacturing plants, we didn't. The entire country dragged their feet on it. And then a lot of it just went over to China. They refused to send it over. Then when we had a chance to build plants in Detroit, where I'm from, we didn't, and those jobs went to other states. It took forever. And now you can get a vehicle, for 90 grand. It's nice. It's good for any American family to get, a car for the price of a house. So I think we have something on it. But, I mean, the other stuff I have, honestly, I just couldn't stop taking notes. The whole thing felt like an episode of Twilight Zone. Just the amount of shameless groveling was just like actors with a producer in a room.
Does he end up on the casting couch with Jill after?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
He did say they have a great sex life.
Yeah,
it's
I know.
true.
They've been hitting it.
I don't believe.
There's not that much cheering in Black Church. Biden talking about the chip manufacturing, though. It was like, when he did say chips, though, I think I heard Chris Christie show up. The Republicans were sitting. What I love, though, they were so emotionless. It was like they were watching Kathy Griffin. Yeah. There was more standing and sitting than a Catholic Mass.
For sure.
And I say that as a Catholic. I've never seen anybody just up and down, up and down. It's like just pick a lane. At 10:02, though, important note, Marco Rubio is seen swiping right on Twitter. or on Tinder. And at 10:02, Marjorie Taylor Greene is swiping left. And yeah, those are my notes. But yeah, that entire part with the chips, it was just complete ignorance. And just, it shows that not only can he do anything with the economy or change anything, he just has no clue what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And he has no connection to anybody in this country.
It's amazing.
And he has no idea. Then he's insulting the people that own the companies that are going to give people the jobs. Like, he has no plan.
It's everything wrong, all done in a row.
Yeah, and I think they tell people who are on his side, I guess, because they have to be, like, once you hear him say something that's awful and he gets off track, just start clapping.
Right, yeah.
That way he just switches
Let him
gears.
reset.
Just, it's our way of doing it.
Turn it off and turn it back on again.
Yeah.
You know, see if it gets
Yeah,
the
because
problem.
it's like there's no way
Right.
he's gonna, his brain's going.
Oh, yeah, the economy stuff is really infuriating. I mean, the fact that the cynical nature of supporting shutdowns of our economy in 2020, voting for it, supporting candidates, saying Donald Trump wanted everyone dead when he said he wanted to open things. And then after that passes, you become president, then you continue to want the shutdowns to go on after that, after everyone's completely over them. And then finally, when things open up, you take credit for all of those job gains. It's so cynical and disgusting, but I mean, that's who he is.
It's a man who wished the unvaxxed death for Christmas. And then at the end, you want to hear him say to an entire room, all Americans. No.
It's infuriating.
You're not somebody who's united the country in any way, shape, or form. Don't pretend to start now.
Yeah, and I've never seen a more divisive speech, really. From
Yeah.
the way it began to how combative he was during the entire thing, like actually turning and then, well, you don't want that? You know, and kind of like making fun of them.
Oh,
I mean,
he wanted the interaction. He was trying to go somebody into
absolutely.
saying something.
But saying
stupid
something terrible like, I want to stop fentanyl, then looking at Republicans like, you don't want that?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah,
he's-
yeah, they
oh
don't
yeah,
want
that's what this is about.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like
Republicans love fentanyl.
it's an upgrade
Pro
from
fentanyl, guys.
that one speech where he gave it seemingly from like pits of hell.
Do you think this is what the Dems want, for him to throw out one Dem applause point after another to look competent? I mean, I think yes, right? I mean, he did hit the things. There's several things that he thinks are going to help him win the election. You know, the abortion, democracy, these types of things. These are their main themes. Also, his three big weaknesses he went right after, which was the border, as Jason was talking about, the economy, as we just discussed, and his age. He tried to figure out a way to make those things work. I don't think it worked on the American people, but that's what he was trying to do. Gary writes in, what fake rights do you think we should keep? I don't know. I mean, I guess we got rid of the terrible right of the ability to be able, every single person forced to have abortion legal. I guess that's what that was from. Lee Nichols, how can he interpret what the Supreme Court does when he can't even appoint a justice who knows what a woman is?
That is a good point.
It's a great point.
It is a great point. And she was sitting there, though. She got through even after that moment.
That was a beautiful moment, though.
It really was.
Find a woman and it's like, well, you got me.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny because you had moments in there where he was like, we need to support women doing this and women doing this and women doing this. And they still can't answer what one actually is.
I was in Ann Arbor doing stand-up, and I go, I have a son. He's a boy for now, as a joke. And a guy goes, how do you know? And I go, he has a dick. And the entire place just erupted in applause, even in a very liberal area. And then then we just moved on.
Yeah.
Sorry for the language, but it's what happened. You know what I mean? It's like
all
it's
the
just
analysis
what
you need of the situation.
It's seriously, like, just there's my answer.
I've actually got into one of those arguments before, and they were talking about, basically the gender is nothing. But then right when you turn it around and go, well, tell me about the gender pay gap.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll go, damn it.
Oh, so great. They're like, there's so many.
Yeah, maybe the answer is that
all these plates.
All the women that we don't pay anything, just have them start identifying as men. It'll even right out.
Yeah, it's simple.
Perfect. Leica writes in, is Nancy Pelosi drunk or not? What do you think? Well, does it end in a Y? Does the day end in a Y?
Yeah, the answer is always yes.
Well, it's a pill mix. So you're not sure what's causing the most damage to the brain,
right?
But it's certainly a mix.
But it does smooth it out a little bit. Michelle writes in, wait, did he really just say the vaccine is curing cancer? That was a weird moment. I think what he was trying to say is he thinks there's going to be an mRNA cure for cancer, not the actual COVID vaccine itself. But I'm not even certain about that.
Who was touching an mRNA cancer vaccine?
I'm pretty sure that's what he said.
It's a pretty smart business model to like create the problem and then be like, sell people the solution.
There you go.
It'd be funny if you walked out and you're like, good news, you don't have lung cancer. Bad news, your heart is about to stop.
Well, that's why you don't get the cancer. If your heart starts fast, then you never have time to develop the cancer. Terry writes in, hey, he cut the budget by what? Are we in the Twilight Zone? That is really infuriating.
Yes.
See?
Twilight Zone.
It was an episode of the Twilight Zone.
It really was. It really was. Kind of a despicable thing, too. He does that all the time. It's the same argument I was talking about with the job creation, right? Like, it's just COVID, right? We had, we spent trillions and trillions of dollars, all of which he supported, all of which he said was not enough.
Correct.
Right? And then when all that money gets spent, we get in a huge deficit. He walks in, that money eventually dries up because people no longer want it or vote for it anymore. And then he, even though he was asking for more, when they refuse his proposal for more spending, and then he takes credit for the budget deficit reduction. It's like the most cynical, impossible thing that if anyone knew anything about anything, they would not believe him. But I don't know if we're in a country that has that anymore. Do we have the power to decipher such things?
I don't think so, but I think that people also see what's happening to them through their very eyes, right? Like they see how much they're paying at the grocery store, they see how much they're paying at the gas pump, they see, the results of inflation, they see their 401ks, they see, I think that the average American, I'm not sure that they can decipher through what you're talking about, but they can see what they're living right now, and they know that it is not where they want to be or where they were pre-COVID under Donald Trump.
Very, very true. All right, if you turn on Fox News or CNN right now, you're going to see a bunch of talking heads giving, Joe Biden positive reviews, I'm sure. You're not going to hear honest, genuine, and meaningful insight. I can promise you that. You're not going to get anything like you got from Glenn, myself, Sarah, Dave, of course, Jason as well. We cannot, to a lesser extent.
We just threw you in like a...
I know, I was like, wait. I was like going like this, and I was like...
Look, we can't do live events like this if you don't support the channel. We do appreciate when you do that. If you haven't already subscribed, visit blazetv.com/SOTU. Use the promo code SOTU, get $30 off your annual subscription, and join the Blaze TV family. Look, we're just like you. We just had probably the same things you were saying to your TV, we were saying, and it was great to be able to spend that time with you because it makes us at least a little bit feel kind of sane. So thanks so much to the panel, you guys. We really appreciate it. Thank you for getting us through that. That was a catastrophe in the making.
My complete displeasure.
Yes, it really was. I'm sorry you lost at least weeks off your life. What's that, sir?
I don't feel sane.
You don't feel sane?
No.
Sorry.
I'm going to try Botox.
Yeah, there you go. There's plenty of that in the room, too, all night long as we looked there. Thank you guys so much for joining us. By the way, blazetv.com/SOTU is the place, the code SOTU. We will see you tomorrow on radio, and if you watch the end of Glenn's interview, you know that one is going to be something you don't want to miss. No. We'll see you. Good night.